Good evening. Good evening. Today is Monday, December 13th, 2021. The time is 6:03 p.m. and this regular meeting of the Romulus Community Schools Board of Education is called to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll, and for any board members joining. Your microphone's not on. It's on here. You want a mic? There it is. Madam Secretary.
It's not working.
It's not working.
I don't hear an echo.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll, and for any board members joining virtually, please state your geographical location by city and county.
German.
Present, Wayne County, Wyandotte, Michigan.
Test.
Bergeron.
Present.
Terrell.
Present.
Wester.
Present.
Kennard.
Here.
Piles.
Present.
Evitz is present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Hampton. Ms. Hampton? Before we begin our meeting, if anybody would like to participate in public comment this evening, please fill out a public participation form and bring it to Ms. Evans. Thank you. Mr. Hampton. Email, please. I move that the Board of Education accept the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. Is there support?
Support, Kennard.
Moved by Kyle, supported by Kennard. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please, since we have a virtual participant?
German.
Yes.
Bergeron.
No.
Terrell.
No.
Wester.
No.
Kennard.
Yes.
Evitz, yes. Piles.
Yes. Motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. The first order of business we have this evening is unfinished business, report of the finance chair. So I will turn the floor over to Ms. Evans.
Thank you. So we have some updated statuses regarding the audit. It will be completed near the end of January. There are still some things that are missing, and they are working diligently to get things completed. We have done some interviews for the outsourcing, and we have recently received IRS notices for unpaid Social Security wages, and that's from, let's see, June 20th statement, June of 2020, September of 2020, and December 31st of 2020. And that's pretty much where we stand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Terrell.
I have a question. First of all, this report that Secretary Evitz just delivered, why wasn't that delivered by Mike Dixon?
So the information was sent to us by Mr. Garrett. An update, I believe he emailed the board November 18th. Mr. Dixon is not with us tonight. If the board would like him to attend every meeting, then we can make that happen. In the past, when Mr. Dixon has been at every meeting, half of the board has complained that we're paying him to be here, so.
We're paying him to take care of the district's
Okay.
finances.
Okay,
However, the way I see it, he's not doing his job. He's not doing his job. No, so he comes here and he gives a lot of negative responses, half-truths, and then not come into the office to do his job properly. And then now we have our secretary delivering this report. And I find that unacceptable because I have questions. Madam Secretary is not in that position. And so I have concerns. You eloquently pointed out IRS and gave some dates. I want to know why it hasn't been addressed now, up to this point, because he's been in that position for several months. Why hasn't it been addressed at this point?
okay.
The other thing is, why is it that we're talking about the audit's going to be completed at the end of January? He's had ample opportunity to step up, do what he's been hired to do, and get us to that place. So I have questions, and he should be here. Since that was delivered, he should be here to deliver that information.
Okay, so I want to make sure that I answer your questions. Please remind me if I forget. The report was not delivered by the board secretary. The report was delivered by the chair of the finance committee. So that's why Ms. Evans gave that report. The information that she gave in that report included information that was emailed by Mr. Garrett to the entire Board of Education on November 18th. I have not received any questions from any board members regarding that report, but if there are questions, I would be happy to get you answers. To say Mr. Dixon isn't doing his job, I'm sorry, I'm talking. To say Mr. Dixon is not doing his job is a general statement, but what is that being based on? Because he is coming in, he is doing his job, and he's reporting out to the interim superintendent and the finance chair, who just gave us those updates. Regarding the IRS payments, part of this cleanup that he and Sandy are doing, they have discovered IRS payments that have not been made multiple times, and they are taking care of that. But what needs to be understood is they are taking care of things as they discover it. We did not know this as a district, that IRS payments had not been made until the IRS started sending us letters. So, and as far as the audit, the reason why the audit is behind is because we were scheduled for our audit to begin September 6th. I believe that was the holiday, so September 7th was the day that Daniel Clark with Raymond came in. The finance department indicated to our auditors that we were prepared to start the audit. And we believed that. When Mr. Clark came in, it was discovered we were not prepared. We did not have journal entries done. We didn't have ledgers that tied out to grants or anything else. And our systems, an auditor doesn't come in and do our numbers. They check our numbers and tweak them. They could not even start that. Now, I can't say why. I know we received an email from the previous interim finance chair in October, and in that email, she stated, I had the audit almost completed when I left. I don't know why it's not done by now. Possibly she believed that, or possibly there were parts that were done, but nothing ties out to grants or ledgers. There are the records, our trial balance wasn't completed, so we were not prepared to start an audit. So Mr. Dixon and Ms. Gutenschwager have been cleaning up and preparing the stuff all along that was not prepared by the 1st of September as it should have been. And while they are doing that, they are also doing the day-to-day operations. So that is why our audit is behind.
I find that to be excuse after excuse after excuse. The ledger problem has been a problem for years back, and you're doing really well with explaining the excuses and saying how it should have been completed. It should have been completed when we first came onto the board.
Absolutely.
And so I have a problem with that.
So,
And I've stated that I do believe that it's wasteful for him to come out and not provide anything that's going to be any productive
No
information.
deliverables.
But to come out or to just hand it off to Sue to handle, Ms. Evans to handle, and give us a general statement. I'm looking through my emails. I don't have an email
you have an email from
dated from him.
Mr. Garrett on November 18th or 17th. I don't. November 18th at 5:04. Thank you, Ms. Evans. And I believe in there, he addresses the IRS issues, sinking fund issues, and
I don't
other
have it.
issues. So I'm not giving excuses. I'm giving the reality of our district.
Well, the reality is, I would like to hear from him.
We were not prepared for the audit, and that is what the auditor said. We aren't qualified as board members to determine if.
Exactly. That's why I want him here. Exactly.
But the auditor who conducts the audit absolutely is qualified to say, yes, you're prepared, no, you're not. And he's saying, no, we're not.
Okay.
Madam President,
I'm sorry, let Ms. Terrell finish.
I said I got that.
Okay.
I got that.
Mr. Bergeron, Ms. Terrell has the floor.
No, I'm
Do
finished.
you have anything else?
I just said what I wanted to say.
Okay,
we
so if you have questions, Mr. Dixon is not here tonight, but any questions will be answered, submit those. When he
I'm
is
not
ready.
submitting them. I'm going to ask him in open public, ask questions in open public so
Okay.
that people can hear.
And that's fine, so we will schedule, Mr. Dixon for the next meeting, but when he attends, this board should not be disrespectful and rude and attend
Oh,
for
don't
meetings.
tell me how to address.
No,
address
I'm
what I
saying,
feel is
if you
appropriate
want
and
him
what's
here,
not.
pick a side and stick to it.
the,
Okay,
excuse,
I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, it's not the fact that anyone picks on or says anything derogatory towards Mr. Dixon. And I've stated it as well as Ms. Terrell just did. He has been here since day one, talking negatively about this district. He was here day one, talking negatively about we weren't this, we didn't do, and we all know that there were issues prior to. The question is, and you made a statement that Ms. Claire had said things were done. Ms. Claire volunteered to come in here on her own dime, free of charge, to assist with the audit, to assist with it. Wasn't gonna charge us a dime. And I think what Ms. Terrell is getting at is, where are the deliverables? We hear him stand up and talk about this, that, and the other. He's been here for almost, 4 months, almost 5 months here. We should be a little further, we should be just about done with this audit. We had Ms. Claire come in, when she came in, and she did our FID in like 30 days. The thing is, we're paying out so much money. You said we don't have money for this and we don't have money for that. We're paying our superintendent, who is on administrative leave and should be back. We're paying an interim more than what we pay our superintendent. We have all these contractors coming in, making money, and actually it seems like they don't know what they're doing. You have all these people in the finance department. That we should be further along with our audit, regardless to what they had to fix. We've done it in the past. This here is like a shifting, this the shell game. Who are we gonna blame next for this, that, and the other? At the end of the day, we need our superintendent back that can help. We can get people hired into our district who will work with our consultants to bring everybody up to speed. We're sending out all this money. Now we want to outsource people. The question is, we remove the approval of the agenda so that we can make amendments to the agenda, which we can't do that now. When is our superintendent gonna come back to help get our district back on the right spot? That's where the question is. Our finances, yes, our finances now are worse than what they were. Before he left, we're paying all these people. We're paying out so much money to consultants who can tell us, like you said, we're not educated. We don't know how to do the audit. We don't know what's missing or not. We're taking the word of this person and this person as to what was done and what was not done.
Okay, so, first of all, Mr. Dixon, when you refer to him talking negatively about the district, Mr. Dixon comes and gives us information. If the information is negative, then so be it. The auditor said if we don't make significant changes immediately, we will lose the district.
We understand
so if
that.
the information is negative,
His
it's not-
first-
Ms. Wester, I didn't interrupt you, I'm speaking. If he is giving us information and it's negative, that's not talking negative about the district, that is talking real about the district so we know what to correct.
There's a way to
I'm
talk and not
sorry,
to talk.
I'm still talking, Ms. Wester. As far as Ms. Claire offering to work for free,
She's very mad.
no, I'm not. I let you speak and now I'm responding to your questions. As far as allowing.
I didn't make a question. I had a statement.
As far as asking why Ms. Jewell is not working for free, that is not even legal. You don't have volunteers come work for your finance department. So, no, we haven't. So I will, Mr. McNatt, if
Which-
you could reach out to Mike Dixon and, ask him to, please attend the meeting. If
Which
board
free
members
could be a
have
couple of ways. You give me the check and I give you the check back. That's what's considered I'm working and I'm doing it on my time for you.
So, that was our report. If board members have questions, please submit them to me or the superintendent. We will bring Mr. Dixon in. But to keep our meeting moving along, we are going to, thank you.
And I had my hand up, you're not gonna.
Okay,
ahead,
okay, Mr. Bergeron, you have the floor.
Here, mine is on.
My problem is that I don't know who you're working for. I really don't. You know, I've been out in this community. I haven't seen any one of you four out in the community. I've been out there. These people in Romulus are madder than hell at you guys. Okay, they're mad. And you know what? It's blame it on him, blame it on him. You can't do that. This guy hasn't said a doggone thing to this board when he came in here, Dixon. He didn't talk to us, and then when he did, he was, I want facts, okay? We're paying him that kind of money. He puts that down in a report. But you know what? He probably didn't do a report because he probably doesn't know how. Oh, yeah, I said that about him.
Okay, to sit here,
Now, wait a minute, I got the floor.
Okay, you do, go ahead. I
Okay.
apologize.
You know, and I don't appreciate, I don't appreciate the way you guys are filibustering this community and you're breaking it. You wouldn't hire any help for the accounting. You wouldn't hire anybody because we have too much staff at central office. And now what are you doing? You're putting accountants and attorneys and all kinds of people to work. That is ridiculous. When we should be having our own administration take care of our own problems.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bergeron. Okay, please. Okay, I'll move it. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the report of the superintendent. Interim superintendent, Mr. McNatt.
So I have 4 points to share with you. Can everyone hear me? Back there? Good. So I'd like to compare the current and the previous 2 fall collection of the FTE, the full-time equivalency for enrollment. The fall of 2019, the enrollment number was 2,501. The fall 2020, the number was 2,425.52. The number this fall was 2,440.46. The difference between this fall and last fall was 14.94 up. And that's a percentage increase of 0.62. Couple numbers to share with you is the kindergarten FT8 is 185. That is lower than the first grade of 193. These are some numbers that superintendents look at to see what is your future enrollment looking like compared to what's coming in, because it's an attrition. But these grades are higher than the second through fourth grades right now. So that's a good sign. The last 2 years, it's been an uptick. So that's on the enrollment. On the property, I have 4 different points to share with you. If you recall, we accepted an offer on the Beverly property of $220,000, and then it was withdrawn and resubmitted for $170,000 by the purchaser. The Board of Education formally rejected it. They have now increased an offer on the Beverly School to $200,000. I've talked to the agent and asked them to sharpen their pencils and go back to their client. And he's going to be getting back with me shortly. A catering company is interested in purchasing the Superior building. They have a very large catering business. I do not have an offer at this time. Phil Clark, the attorney on this, and Bob Hafer and I have talked, and they will be getting an offer on this one soon as well. The Merriman property, the renters have been given notice to vacate the premises because they have not followed up with the purchasing of the building. They have to vacate the premises by December 23rd. We are demanding for them to stay would be the $65,000 deposit. The property as it stands right now is considered to be for sale. And then the fourth point on the property is there are talks about a cell tower at Barth Elementary with potential other vendors on the same tower. And that's for the cell tower over that way. The staffing, the third point is the staffing. The ESSER 3 grant deadline is fast approaching. And I want to thank Mr. Cooper for all his hard work on the grants that he's doing. So thank you. Appreciate it. There has been talk on how we can have a greater impact on the academic and social well-being of our elementary students. We have discussed this with the cabinet, and we have gotten feedback from building principals, and I'm sure they have gotten feedback from some of their staff as well. So we have tossed a few titles around and discussed a few job descriptions. The 2 most popular job descriptions that have been tossed around are Dean of Students, and keep in mind this is for elementary level. Dean of Students and a support specialist. And working with the cabinet and the building administration, we will be putting together some data for your review with a job description on how we can make an impact in the lives of these students. So that'll be coming forward in the future from the administration. And then the fourth point I want to share with you a point of the budget and the frustrations that some of the staff is having within the organization. And I'm taking these numbers right off of our last reported budget that's on the website. So if you look at the budget that was adopted, I've taken the area of athletics as my example because it's something I've recently had to work with our athletic director. The 1920 budget, which was audited, that number in the budget, and this is if you go to the transparency button on the website, you click on that, and then you click on the last budget adopted by the board, you'll see these columns. If you go to athletics, the 1920 audited number is $395,616. That is for the 1920 school year, okay? And so COVID's starting to come out at that time, but that was the budget number, right? The final for the following year, so we don't have an audit. The audit is always the best number to use. But we don't have an audit for that, as that's been well talked about. But that number is final right now is $210,941. Why is it so much lower? It's because it was COVID. There was a lot of things that wasn't spent in athletics. But that's 210, so that's over $185,000 approximately lower. The 21-22 adopted budget is the same number for the 1920. So it looks like on the paper, what they did, they went back and grabbed the last full regular year. That would make sense. It would make sense to a lot of people, right? The year prior to this, and I researched this, prior to the 1920 that I shared with the audit number, it was approximately the same number. So approximately $400,000 is what it takes to supply all the programs in our athletic budget. In the system, however, the database, the program that we use, that is not the number that's in there. That number is approximately the same number during the COVID year. It's around $200,000. So what's having to happen right now is you're hearing from many of the administrators, I don't have enough money in my budget. And what it is that number was carried over as the actual number that was spent in the previous year. And I sat down with Sandy G and went over this as well and had her print off things. So the number that's in the system is the last COVID number. So it's around $200,000. Now, I just use that as an example because it's one of the smaller numbers to talk about. And in working with our athletic director recently, that was the issue that I was researching. So that's something that needs to be addressed in the near future. And so what's happening right now is we're trying not to delay anything because there's a lot of needed things that are needed. Women hygiene products, paper for the schools, like for Xeroxing, there's some books and so forth. So what we're doing is that we are having, every time they hit their budget number, we have to go in and hit the override button, override. Because we know what the board approved. For example, in the area of athletics, it was $396,000. But what's in the system is $200,000. So we are hitting an override on a lot of different topics right now. And it's very time consuming in the business office. And so I appreciate everyone who's been patient and assisting with that process. But like I said, what was used, and I know this because I was told this past summer when I was here, the number that was used was the actual dollars that was spent. So that's something that we're working on, and I thought I'd just share that tidbit with you as well. So,
Thank you.
Mr.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you do in fact have a problem with the budget, why hadn't Dixon amended the budget?
I've asked that, and I know how business managers like to work, having been a superintendent and business manager in the district. They like to start with that number. They like to go through the expenditures, minus the expenditures, add the revenues, and then carry over and say, here's where you're at going forward. They don't want to amend the budget until they can get the last one situated, and I know that's where he's at right now, so I can respect that, but at the same time, I know what the board approved, and that's not in the system, so.
Mr.
And
Bergeron,
I've asked a couple of times, so.
so to that question,
And it's supposed to be coming up in the future.
I know that we've asked about that too. That's something that we've asked because we're aware that our building administrators don't have budgets. And
Hold on, can I add?
Yes,
That statement to say that we don't have budgets, as I just explained, everybody has a budget. It's just the budget number is not at a regular year. It's set at a
Right.
COVID year. So please don't say that we don't have budgets. There is a budget. It's
Right.
just, it's lower amount than what is needed.
right. It's not the actual that's needed. So the reason why the board needs to amend a budget, but right now, that's not possible because our systems as they are and our business office, as it is right now, cannot produce that information in order for us to amend a budget. But as soon as that's cleaned up and the auditors are finished, we will then be able to go in and do amended budgets. And we may have to do that more than once.
And with all due respect, you're not gonna do it with part-time people, and that's what I see. I see you keep on putting more people in, and that, you need to have somebody leading this ship, okay? We do, not a part-timer, a full-timer. You don't look at, we have another part-timer that I heard that is suing us right now because he was the last superintendent. What the heck? I don't understand this.
Okay.
Let's keep on throwing money away because you know what? We got lots of money
Okay,
in.
Mr. Bergeron, we did not have a part-time superintendent, so please don't
Pardon me?
say, we did not have a part-time superintendent.
We did, what is Sean?
You
Not
said there's a
part-time, I
part-time
am full-time,
superintendent
but I'm
who's suing us. That is not an accurate statement, but we're not.
It is accurate as far as
okay.
I'm concerned,
But,
okay?
but Okay, as far as you're concerned, though.
Well, yeah,
it's
that's
not-
right.
Anyway, moving on.
Have three more
Let's-
superintendents sue us.
Sir, can we just be clear on one thing? Because I heard part-time and then what is Sean? And I think you'll agree with me when I say this. I'm not suing you, correct? Yeah. Okay, so, go ahead.
Okay, next item. Next item, with. Next
What?
item, please.
Next item. So next item on the list is Urban Leadership Specialist Contract for Romulus High School. We've had this in the past. And so it's continued to dedicate it in a positive reformation of children, community, and educational and human services system. And so you have some information by them. And so the recommendation is move that the Board of Education approve the proposal for services for Romulus High School and Urban Leadership Specialist for a period of December through December of 2022.
Is there a board member who will make and support the motion for discussion?
Madam President, recommended motion. Move that the Board of Education approve the proposal for services for Romulus High School and Urban Leadership Specialists for a period of December the 1st, 2021 to December the 1st, 2022 at a cost of $55,000. The rationale, Romulus High School have been utilizing the services of Urban Leadership as mentioned specialists for years. Please see the presented proposed services for additional details. The board have that in your board packet. The budget implications is general fund. And we also have the exhibits, which is Romulus High School proposed services, as stated earlier, December 1, 2021 to December 1, 2022.
Moved by Kennard, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Evans. Mr. Dewberry, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us. For any board members who are not familiar with this program, Mario Dewberry has been with the district, is it about 4 or 5 years, Mr. Dewberry?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and he operates the Success Lab at the high school, which was an initiative brought to this Board of Education in 2017. Some of us, I believe Ms. Terrell and former board members have attended the family dinners where Mr. Dewberry has spoken. The floor is open for discussion, so if any of our board members have questions, Mr. Dewberry is here to answer them. This is not a new program. This has been ongoing at our high school. Are there any comments or questions from board members?
I just had one question, and it's relative to grants. I'm noticing the budget implication, general fund. If I remember correctly, Corinza had obtained a grant previously to, that was used to facilitate this program or allow us to not tap into our general funds, as this is indicating. Has that been considered?
Can I provide some clarity on
Yes,
that,
please.
So in the past, we've had several different contracts, a middle school contract, high school contract, and a district contract. The district contract was the only one that was taken out of general funds, which that is no longer on the table until things settle back with the district and there's enough staff at central office to institute what it is or continue what it is that we started doing around the district as it relates to culture and climate and the school equity teams. But the two that are on the table, from my recollection, those were taken out of 31A funds that were specifically related to the high school or to the middle school.
That is correct, it's 31A, which is the state grant, which is equivalent to the federal grant of Title I.
So I believe Ms. Terrell's question, and I don't know if Mr. Cooper or Mr. McNatt can answer this, the budget implications. It's 31A. Okay,
It's 31A.
so,
It is in 31A.
okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions from board members? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Kennard,
Yes.
German, German, Terrell,
No.
Lester,
No.
Evans, yes. Bergeron? No. Piles?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Motion fails. Actually, her absence is excused, and she notified us prior to that. Next on the agenda is a motion for the middle school urban leadership. This is to add supports because we have one administrator there. Is there a motion?
Madam President, recommended motion, move that the Board of Education approve the proposal for the services of Romulus Middle School and Urban Leadership Specialists. Is this the same one?
It's for the middle school, yes.
Okay, for the middle school for a period of December 1, 2021 to June 15th, 2022, at a cost of $45,000. The rationale, the board has that information in a board packet, proposed services. The budget implication, is this a typo too, or should this be a 31A? Okay.
31A.
Budget implications is a 31A. The exhibits, again, is in the board package for Romulus Middle School, proposed services from December 1, 2021 to June 15th, 2022.
Moved by Kennard, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Evans. The floor is open for discussion. And any questions for Mr. Dewberry? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the vote?
Bergeron? No. Evans, yes. German? Terrell?
No.
Lester?
No.
Piles?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Motion fails. Next.
Go ahead.
Hit my agenda. Next is a motion to post the accounting position. Is there a motion? For the accountant, the position of district accountant, because Mr. Baker resigned. And that's one of the problems we're having, getting the audit completed, is that we do not have anyone to do accounting. Is there a motion?
Madam President, recommend motion. Move that the Board of Education approve the updated posting for a vacant of district accountant, granting permission to publish the posting. The rationale of the board on November the 8th, 2021, approved a posting for the position of district accountant. We are now seeking board approval to post the position at an updated salary range. The presented job post and vacancy announcement is submitted for board consideration. The budget implications is in the general fund. The exhibits are also in the board packet. Vacant announcement, the district accounting date 9/13/21.
Thank you. Moved by Kennard. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Evans. Are there any board member comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Bergeron? No. Evans, yes. Terrell?
No.
German? Not connected. Lester?
No.
Kennard?
Yes.
Piles?
Yes. Motion fails. Next on the agenda is a business office transition services, Fryer Consulting Services. Is there a motion?
Madam President, recommended motion, move that the Board of Education approve Fire Consulting Services LLC to provide business office transition services, less accounting for a period of time from 6 to 9 months at a monthly upfront retainer of $30,000 per month per the response of the district's RFP. Furthermore, the board authorizes the interim superintendent to work with Fire Consulting Services and the district's attorneys to develop and then execute a contract with the Fire Consulting Services along with Jake Bauer and Christopher Mumby. The rationale. In November, the Board of Education approved a business office transition plan from an outside vendor. The RFP was posted on the district's website and published in the newspaper. Mike Dixon contacted 5 different firms that do that type of business. One firm did not formally respond to the RFP because of the staff shortage and proximity. A second firm no longer does that type of work. A third firm at this time has not responded, and a fourth dropped out after they found out we had a viable candidate. A fifth firm, Fryer Consulting Services LLC, responded. Sean McKnight, Dan Scott, Nelson Henry, David Cooper, Bill Garland, Johanna Kawari, and Mike Dixon interviewed Shelby Fryer, and she would be a viable candidate. The proposal does not include day-to-day accounting support. Sandy Gutchenweiger will work in accounting until her time is up with the Michigan School Employment Retirement System. She's vital to this transition. Additional accounting support is necessary, and for that, we are recommending David Musgolia, temporary replacement from consultant Sandra Pollack, who will work part-time in accounting until the accounting position is filled. Without Musgolia's approval, the office will be significantly short of accounting support, and the audit submission may be delayed. As needed, Mike Dixon will work 1.5 days a week into January to assist with the transition. Ms. Fryer has proposed a team of 3 individuals, including a procurement specialist, to work the various issues with which Romulus Community Schools is confronted. Her proposal estimates each of the 3 employees working approximately 20 hours, including working remotely. She works on an upfront retainer of $30,000 a month, which equates to an average hourly rate of $125. Her contract should start immediately and would last for 6 to 9 months. We propose the contract begin the week of January 3rd, 2020. The budget implications is general fund. The exhibits is in the board package, the RFP, business office administration / fire response to RFP. And the resume of Shelby Fryer.
Thank you. Moved by Kennard. Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Kennard, supported by Evans. Floor is open for discussion. Seeing none, Madam Secretary.
Terrell?
No.
Evans, yes. Lester?
No.
Kennard?
Yes.
Bergeron?
No.
Piles?
Yes.
Is Ms. German back on?
Motion fails. Next, on the agenda, there is an action item for an extra duty stipend. Motion failed. There is an action item for an extra duty stipend. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. There's an action item for the consultant accounting support. David, I don't want to butcher his name.
Massagolia.
Is there a motion?
Somebody else. Madam President, recommended motion. Move that the Board of Education approve the consulting services agreement for services of David Massagolia as accounting support consultant in the business office at a rate of $125 an hour. The rationale. It is proposed that David Massagolia be contracted as replacement for the former business office consultant, Sandra Pollock, previous position of RCS accountant Stephen Baker. It is proposed that this candidate will work for 10 days after the hire of an accountant. Budget implications is the general fund. In the board package are the exhibits, consulting service agreement of David Massagolia, and the resume is the document.
Thank you. Moved by Kennard, is there support?
Support.
Moved by Kennard, supported by Evans. The floor is open. Are there any board member comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Madam Secretary?
Lester?
No.
Evans, yes. Terrell?
No.
Kennard?
Yes.
Bergeron?
No.
Piles?
Yes.
Ms. German is still off.
Motion fails. Next, we have an action item for an extra duty stipend for human resource duties for Ms. Angela Broaden. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, recommended motion, move that the Board of Education approve a stipend for Angela Broaden for human resources, additional duties for the month of October, 2021 duties, starting at the departure of Margaret Haslett. Total stipend amount is $1,250. The rationale, Angela Broaden took on duties of human resources at the departure of previous Director of Human Resources, resigned. The stipend is recommended in the amount of $1,250 for work performed during the month of October 2021. This recommendation was recently included on our November the 22nd, 2021 board agenda. Lastly, Interim Superintendent Sean McKnight has had conversation with Manager of Operations, Facilities Maintenance, Mr. Garland, regarding a stipend for Mr. Garland. Indicated the central office vacancies did not impact him, so a stipend is not requested for Mr. Garland. The budget implication is general fund, and there are no exhibits with the board packet.
Support.
Moved by Kennard, supported by Evans. Floor is open for discussion. Seeing none, Madam Secretary?
Bergeron?
No.
Kennard?
No.
Lester?
Yes.
Terrell?
Yes.
Evans, no. Piles?
No. Motion fails. Next on the agenda is an action item for extra duty stipend grants work for Mr. David Cooper. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, recommended motion. Move that the Board of Education approve a stipend for David Cooper for grants work, additional duties at a rate of $1,250 per month, beginning July 1, 2021, and ending when the position is filled. The rationale, David Cooper has taken on duties of grant work for the district. The board approved of a stipend for this work is requested. This recommendation was most recently included on our December the 22nd, 2021 board agenda. Payment shall be approved at the end of each fiscal quarter. Lastly, Interim Superintendent Sean McKnight has had conversation with the Manager of Operations, Facilities, and Maintenance, Mr. Garden, regarding a stipend. Mr. Garden indicated the central office vacancies did not impact him, so a stipend is not requested from Mr. Garland. The budget implications is from ESSER 2 funds. In the board package, there are no exhibits.
Moved by Kennard, is there support?
Support.
Floor is open.
Madam President,
Ms. Terrell.
I'm going to say this. I will always support our employees that work in this district. I'll always support them, and this board should support them. The reason that we're in this shape at this point in time is for the lack of support. Ms. Broaden, Mr. Cooper, Mr. Garland, these are individuals that have stayed in their positions, worked hard to make sure that this district continued to function. And we can't even get a proposal to support them in the slightest. And it's ridiculous.
I personally believe that it is personal vendettas. And these people deserve the board's support. Because without them, we're going to be in a place where nobody works in central office. We're in this position because we would not support the people that were there. We harassed the people that were there. Now we're down to bare bones. And we don't want to provide them any additional incentive to want to hang around.
Okay, so
We
I
want
would,
to hire outside consultants. We want to hire interim people to come in. We want to hire people that have no vested interest or no vested stake in our community to make sure that we succeed. We are proposing extravagant opportunities for people to come on board because we ran everybody out, but we won't support the people that are here, working day to day. And it's ridiculous.
okay, so I want to clarify for the board that the motion on the floor is for a stipend for David Cooper for doing grants. This motion is not combined with any other employee, Ms. Broaden's motion that was voted on, or Mr. Garland. Multiple board members noticed that Mr. Garland was not included in stipends, and we reached out to the interim superintendent because we felt that he should be before us as well. And Mr. Garland has stated that he has not picked up extra duties and is not looking for a stipend.
Mr.
So,
President-
but, Ms. Terrell, the motion on the floor is whether or not this Board of Education will approve the stipend as set forth in the motion for Mr. Cooper. And so all discussion needs to be relevant to this motion.
You are not going to limit my ability to say what I think. There's discussion.
Okay,
And my
Ms.
discussion is that I understand that this is for Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
But in this motion, it includes Mr. Garland. The previous motion included Ms. Broaden. And you're not going to limit my ability to speak on what I believe by telling me that it's limited to this. I'm going to say what I believe.
Okay, Ms. Terrell, you are free to say what you believe, but when a motion is on the floor, all discussion needs to be germane to that motion. No, that is per policy and Robert's rules. So anyway, Mr. Cooper, thank you for the way that you have stepped up in taking care of our grants work. I can personally say that every single person at central office and then others have commented on how you have not only done the grant work, but taken on extra duties and done them meticulously and quickly, and you are appreciated for that. I do want the board to remember that this motion is for Mr. Cooper only. Are there any other questions?
Madam President, I don't have a question, but I would like to say to Mr. Cooper, we want to thank you very much for your services in terms of stepping up and handling what was needed at this time of need, okay? I don't know how many years of service you have with the school district. 20. See, that tells you a lot about an individual who stays with a district for that many length of times. And so we want to say thank you very much for that. And so for those, so right now we're focusing on Mr. Cooper in terms of what he has provided for central office. Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Bergeron,
Yes.
Evans, yes. Terrell,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Next, we have an update from Clark Hill, and
Wait a second, you finished with the superintendent's report? I have a question.
okay, Ms. Merjan, what is your question?
My question is, what are we doing on the river source, the Rita Bird
Okay, so that is not on the agenda. The reason being is because Mike Dixon and Sandy Gutenschwager, when the auditor requested information on that scholarship, believed that we were not able to get the information. They specifically needed the balance in the scholarship account as of June 30th, 2021. And what they didn't realize is that the board took action on August 10th, when Dr. Edmondson was here, to name Dr. Edmondson as superintendent and Sue Evans as secretary, as signers on that account. So therefore, Ms. Evans is able to contact them, get the balance as of June 30th, so that can be turned over to the auditors. There was not a need to add additional people with access to that.
Well, does Mrs. Burton's niece have the power to pick the people that are gonna get the scholarship?
Yes, she determines.
Where does that say? Where do we have that?
That, I don't know, that would have been set up in the regular scholarship, but and this predates me, but I've been told that she does choose the people, but what this is simply signers on that account.
I understand that, but I didn't see her name anywhere.
Well, that's because we're not taking care of that business. That's been established. Right now, it is who are the contact people for this account, but the board took action on this already on August 10th. So that's why it is not on this agenda. Okay, next we have Jessica with Clark Hill to give us a report on our finances and investigation. Thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Jessica Milligan from Clark Hill. I work with John Garrett, and John has asked me to appear tonight just to provide an update to the board regarding our investigation into the business and financial practices that is ongoing. So as you know, the board retained us to review the business office, and on November 8th, our firm issued a report regarding the status of our investigation to the board. That report identified several areas of concern that we were looking into, including potential violations of board policy and state law regarding the district's bidding practices for certain contracts that were awarded. So after that report, within that report, we noted that the concerns and the findings of that date were based on the documents that were available to us from the business office at that time, and that we may need to supplement our findings should additional information become available. Since issuing that report, we have continued to be in contact with the business office to gather information and any other concerns that are identified. We have received some information regarding the district's sinking funds and certain contracts awarded through that fund that also may have been a violation of board policy and state law regarding bidding requirements. So given that information, and as well as the ongoing audit that the business office is working on, we are continuing to receive information and will finalize our report once that audit and the information from the business office is complete.
Thank you, Jessica. Do any board members have questions for Jessica?
Madam President,
Ms. Terrell.
I'd like to know this, and first of all, we were advised that the investigation had been completed, but since we're going forward with digging for additional or investigating additional items, I'd like to know, how far back are you looking as far when it comes to these concerning facts of bidding practices? How far back are you going? Are we just looking over the past 2021, or are we going back a little bit further than that? What is the scope?
Go ahead.
That's my question. How far back are you going?
The information that we've been looking into is from the 2020 to 2021 time period.
Okay. So there's nothing that you're considering, these are established practices, so we're not going to go back to the previous year, looking as far back as you can. You're stopping at 2021. My next question is, has anyone that's completing the investigation reached out to Dr. Edmondson?
I am not aware of that information. I've been reviewing information received from the business office. As far as whether they've reached out to Dr. Edmondson, I am not aware of that
Okay.
information at this time.
Can you tell me whether or not you've reached out to speak to Ms. Claire, who previously worked in that office?
I am not aware. I know that there have been some discussions about reaching out to Ms. Claire, and I don't know specifically what has occurred. So I apologize, I don't have that information.
Okay. Have you reached out and spoke with Mr. Don Sovey?
No, we have reviewed information that Mr. Sovey previously provided to the board. I have not spoken with Mr. Sovey.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Jessica? So, to remind the board, the reason why there was a resolution to conduct an independent investigation, it came after the auditor talked about the situation of our finance department. He said, I cannot begin your audit. The way the business office operates has become the norm. And unless significant changes are made, the district will not survive long-term, or quite frankly, it won't survive short-term. At that point, we're not looking, okay, I'm sorry. At this point, looking back, we are aware that the functioning of our business office has been dysfunctional for many, many years. That is no secret. We know that. But when the auditor is saying, now it's your norm, change it or you lose your district. What do we change? The investigation is to look at the things now so we know what to change. It is not about a person. It is about our practices and it is about our practices and our procedures. So while the investigation is focused on the current, Mr. Hanson. No, he's not, but he's the only voice that is close to me that I recognize. Will everyone please refrain from shouting out? So the auditor gave us that information. In order to make the changes now to save the district, what happened years ago is irrelevant. What is going on now that we need to change? And that is not about a person. That is not a person. Okay, so where we did go back is the audit for 2019/2020 had 14 findings. So and that was before the current leadership. However, that was the reality of our district. So going into the next audit, we had a pre-audit done to see a year later how many of those 14 findings had been corrected. That pre-audit revealed, from our auditors, revealed that only one of the 14 findings had been corrected, one had been waived, and 12 remain. So yes, we know that there were things that are being investigated now that did exist in previous years. But again, the point is, what do we need to fix right now so that this community does not lose our school district?
We're losing it anyway, the way things are being done.
So in that sense, yes, we are going back. But for the purposes of this investigation, it is to identify the things that need to be corrected.
The reason I asked that question, Dr. Edmondson has sat in that office and may know some things that you're trying to uncover. When you talk about independent investigations, the scope of the investigation, these are people that were dealing with our finances, that were being paid. And so when I talked about Ms. Claire, when I talked about Mr. Sobey, these are people that may be able to provide a little bit of insight when you're doing an independent investigation. And then with Dr. Edmondson, he's not here. So I would think that someone would reach out to him and ask him a question. He might be able to direct you to the point that we're able to get past the investigation. So that's the reason for the question.
Okay, so as was reported in previous meetings, Ms. Claire was reached out to and would not provide information. So we had to go with what we had, and Mr. Baker stepped in and provided information. So we can request, and in the report that we received on November 8th, that was passed out 3 different packets of information to every board member, so I'm confused as to why board members are claiming they didn't have it, because Mr. Garrick passed it out on November 8th. It listed in there the attempts to get information, the inability to get some information, and where we are currently. And I don't know, there were, it was
What
a
I
thick
said I
stack.
didn't
So-
have was
so-
an email. You said email. I said I did not receive an email dated November the 8th.
Right, tonight you did. I'm talking about prior to this meeting. It was the information provided on the 8th. So if anybody does not have that, let me know and we will get that. I'm talking about the packet that Mr. Garrick handed out, had all of this information in it. So we can provide information, but we can't be responsible for individuals reading or believing or accepting. But the reality of this district remains unchanged.
Madam President, as it
Ms. Wester.
relates, come on, guys, I'm trying to talk. As it relates to the 1920 audit, we didn't even get those results from the audit until March. So, which meant Dr. E didn't even have a chance to look at the previous audit because, yes, it was late when they came and presented. And at that point in time, Dr. E was supposed to be going out for surgery, and it had to be delayed due to other reasons. So we only had, we even as a board only had that previous audit for a couple months. So by the time it was time to do things, we didn't even give him a chance to look at those and to put things in place before we decided to make all these drastic decisions once he went off on medical. He's been off now. The audit, they've been doing this investigation. He should be here at the helm to talk to Clark Hill, since they're doing the independent investigation. He should be here to talk to them, to be able to get the plan together to move the district forward. How are we going to set things up and we don't have our leader to take heed to it, to get it done?
Okay.
Yes, there are, no one's pointing fingers. Yes, there are issues. And there are some things that they should have gone back and looked at 1920 just to see where it came from. You can't take 1 year because it looks like you're pointing a finger at one individual that says it's his fault that the finances are the way they are. It's his fault that the business department is the way it is. We say words are one thing, actions are another. Actions are another. We bring up everybody else's name. We don't bring up the previous finance director, Ms. Rudolph. At the end of the day, and I say this every 2 weeks we have a meeting, we're not thinking about our kids. What about the kids? What about the kids? We're spending money. You say, oh, this district is going to fail if we don't get our finances in order. We have so many people that we are paying that are not district, that are not vested in this community. They're not vested in here. At our employees, they're not vested. It's really not.
Okay.
I mean, I make a motion, we bring Dr. Ben back.
Ms. Wester, would you like to make a motion to amend the agenda?
I make a motion that we amend the agenda.
Is there support? Moved by Ms. Wester to amend the agenda, supported by Ms. Terrell. Madam Secretary, will you call the vote, please?
Bergeron,
Wait, I'm sorry. I need to take that back. We need to finish this action item, and then we can bring that up, because right now, on our agenda, okay? So, but yes, right after we finish 6, that we will entertain that motion. I lost my train of thought.
Can I interject?
Yes, go ahead.
So you've said auditor in the past, and because of the different companies we're working with, I just want to ask this one question, and then I have a couple of other things to share. Just for clarity, the auditor is who?
For the district, Raymond.
Raymond, okay. And that was pretty bad news that you received, right?
Yes.
Now, I would tell you, and I think most of the people out there would agree, that if you're gonna receive bad news, really bad news, I think that, being a father, if I got bad news on one of my kids, I think I'd go get another opinion. I think I'd get another opinion. And then the other thing is, the advice I have on the area with the finances are, we're unable to do the budget amendment right now because they can't get the audit done. They can't get the audit done, so therefore we cannot get the qualifying statement to be approved by the state. Because we can't get the qualifying statement done, we're unable to go get a loan. And as all of you up here know, and maybe you guys don't know, because the audit is not done by November 1st, we are no longer getting state aid at this point. We are no longer getting state aid.
Okay,
So to get the audit, we need to get the audit done.
whoever's shouting out, please stop so that we can hear.
So once again, I'm just gonna kind of rephrase this. Budget has to get done. We need the audit to get done. For the audit to get done, that will produce a qualifying statement. Without the audit, we can't get the qualifying statement. Without the qualifying statement, most banks will not give us a loan. And I'm not getting a state aid check right now. So,
Bring Dr. Edmondson back and it will all be resolved.
Madam
Madam President, I have a question pertaining to the statement from the interim superintendent.
Yes.
So in the event, I think a year or so ago, we were in the predicament when we were trying to get our audit done, and we were not receiving state aid. But once that audit went through, it was retroactive. Is that correct? So I think you didn't make that statement. So we could get that, provide, when the audit is completed. Is that correct?
But at the present time, it creates a cash flow.
Right, it creates a cash flow where, my question would be, how much of cash flow will we have if we don't, have this process in place? I mean, where are we and where do we stand? Can they provide us with that? I mean, we got a month, 2 months, because we have operating expenses and so forth. So what type of information do we have on that?
Okay, so the state aid began to be withheld November 1st. Currently, we are looking at a completion date for this audit of late January. In order to get the state aid, get the qualifying statement, get the budgets amended, the audit has to be completed. The problem is that we need to be prepared to be audited, and that's where we are stuck right now. And so in order for us to move forward, complete the audit, get our state aid, we need these positions, which this Board of Education just voted down. So when we say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bergeron. Right now, we are talking about getting the audit completed so that we can get state aid. And it stops being withheld. In order to complete the audit, we need people to do the audit. The positions that we brought before this board tonight were to replace Mr. Baker, who resigned, to replace Ms. Claire, who resigned. So here's the thing is we can't go back. Right now, today, does this Board of Education feel that this district and community deserves to have state aid? If so, we need to get the work done. We cannot get the work done if we value, Mr. Bergeron, if we value our employees, then we get.
You can't talk about value.
I'm sorry.
You can't talk about value.
If we
You
value-
run people out of here. You
Okay.
can't talk about value.
Okay, if we value our employees, then we need our state aid because we are going to come up against a cash flow problem. That is basic finance. Now, to go back to our audit, our audit was completed last year, and I believe was presented to the board February 22nd. So it was completed shortly before then. So it was February. At that point, we had 14 findings with corrective action plans. Yes, it's not about fault. Forget the fault. Our reality last February was we were looking at 14 findings. We had material weaknesses. We had corrective action plans. We then never got updates. What are we doing? I don't care. It's not about fault. What are we doing? What is the plan?
Let's get through this section, because that's a repeat.
I'm sorry, but no, this was brought up. So when we knew it a year ago, what have we done? And the answer is nothing, which is why we're right here again this year. But again, that is behind us. We need to go forward. We need to stop looking behind and go forward. So what is this Board of Education going to prioritize so that we can get our
Bring
funding?
it back so we'll have our leadership.
Let us get through item 6.
Okay, so
And then we can move forward.
Okay, but this is part of item 6, is understanding that without these supports, and we also found out, I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon reported, I want to say in August or September, that the business department did not apply for loans. That was overlooked and did not apply for loans. So we're not getting state aid. The business office did not apply for loans. We have operating expenses, we have payroll to meet. Is this Board of Education willing to set aside differences and make that a priority?
Bring Dr.
Yes or no?
Edmondson back.
Yes or no? Does anyone have any additional questions for Jessica? Okay, seeing none, I move that the Board of Education adopt the resolution for referral to outside agencies. The presented resolution from Clark Hill PLC is for board consideration, seeking the assistance of outside governmental agencies, including the State Attorney General and the U.S. Department of Education, to help assure finance business issues are addressed so they can be corrected. Due to significant and ongoing violations of the law within the business office and our effort to mitigate any consequences, Clark Hill attorney John Garrick and Dixon Public Consulting finance consultant Mike Dixon strongly urged the district to take this course of action. This resolution was originally scheduled for board consideration at our November 22nd, 2021 meeting. Is there support?
Support, Kennard.
Board member questions or concerns, please share those. We are at a point where we have violations of law. We can choose to ignore them. We can choose to say they do not exist. We can choose to argue with each other about things in the past whose fault it is. Our reality is we have violations of law, and the Attorney General does not need permission to come in here. But if we are proactive, we can clean up our act. I'm sorry, who's shouting out? Bring him in. Bring him in. Yeah. Okay, we can, but I'm chair of this meeting, sir, and we need to conduct business. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Sutton, will you please come to the mic? Mr. Sutton is our policy attorney with Miller Johnson.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. The board chair asked me to come here this evening. I was offered the opportunity to join virtually. I wanted to come in person. I'm not sure what I'm witnessing in general. I'm not sure what and listen, I absolutely commend every individual who's taken the time to be here and be actively engaged in their school community. It's vitally important. I completely respect the passion and the energy that there is for this school community, irrespective of opinion. But this is not how business gets conducted. I know that maybe in a Hollywood movie or things we see on YouTube, this is how we think business gets conducted, but this isn't how business gets conducted. You don't get to scream things from the audience like it's a Jerry Springer episode.
You're not here to reprimand this community and this board?
I'm sorry,
This is
Ms.
not-
Terrell.
No,
Ms. Terrell, this is our legal
absolutely
counsel
not.
who
I
has the
don't
floor.
care. He's
Ms.
not here to
Terrell.
reprimand
Point of
anybody.
order. Point of order.
Ms. Kennard, state your point.
Point of order.
Ms. Kennard, state your point.
We had a guest who had the floor.
This is not how business gets done. If the board members have strong opinions and they want to share those strong opinions, that's absolutely fine. That is within the realm of the board's bylaws. That is within the realm of the Open Meetings Act. Those things are perfectly fine. If there are strong opinions, if there are strong disagreements, as long as those disagreements are expressed respectfully, as your code of ethics requires, that's fine. But what is going on in the audience is an absolute violation of your existing bylaws. 100% a violation of your existing bylaws. And every individual who is screaming out, who is creating disruption, who is making it difficult to conduct business, has the right to be removed. The board chair can remove them. I would note she has not done that. But she has the right, under your existing bylaws, to remove any individual who creates a disruption that makes it difficult to conduct business. There is a public comment period on the agenda, as is required by the Open Meetings Act, and any public citizen who has concerns, opinions, or otherwise is able to come to the podium and address those concerns during public comment time. But the other things that I've witnessed in the time that I've been here this evening are an absolute violation of the board's bylaws, unquestionably. Unquestionably.
Are lies a part of the violation? I don't respect that you've come in here to tell the community, to tell this board about how you don't like how things are running. Like you said, you don't know what's going on. You don't. There have been several lies, several violations that have taken place, and they continue to go on.
Respectfully, Ms. Terrell, as I indicated, I don't care about the substance.
There you go.
I don't care about the substance and what opinions people have. I don't care if every vote is 6-0 or 3-3. It does not matter. My point is one of procedure and what you as board members have committed to in your code of ethics and what your bylaws require. That's all I care about. I don't care if everyone is shouting out happy opinions or angry opinions. Actually, I'm the perfect person to have that comment because I don't have a vested interest. I'm simply talking about the rules that this board has agreed to and the ethics that this board has agreed to. So having somebody who's completely objective and doesn't have an opinion is actually, I believe, who you need to hear from. And what I'm telling you is what's going on in this board meeting is a violation of the board's bylaws. Choose to remedy it, don't, but I'm telling you what it is. Thank you.
It's a two-way street.
Okay.
Ask us to go by the rules, they should go.
So going forward, we are close to the end of our agenda, but going forward, I am requesting our security officers and our Romulus police officer to please identify members who are shouting out. I am unable to see that and identify that and focus on that. Anyone who shouts out will be asked to stop. Anyone who shouts out a second time, okay, who was that? Whoever that was, the next time you shout out, you will be warned. And if you shout out after that, you will be removed. That is the process. That is not my idea. That is the process for operating meetings. Okay, so we come back to the motion on the floor. We are at a situation where, again, this Board of Education needs to stop focusing on whose fault or how it happened or all the whys. Where are we today? Where are we today? Today, we have dysfunctional practices. We have zero internal controls. We cannot even adopt a working budget because our numbers are so off and undocumented. So, what are we going to do to be better? Are we going to hold good decisions and much needed resources hostage? Or are we going to put our money where our mouth is and say we care about the district, we care about the kids, and make it not personal and make it for this district and for these students and make good decisions, even if we don't all agree on ones that have been made in the past? Right now, we are in a dire situation that we cannot get out of. Current leadership can't get out of. Because we are here a year later. Okay, Mr. Bergeron? No. No, that's not why. Because we had full-time staff and we're here a year later.
And you threw them
However,
out. You wouldn't
so,
accommodate them with the people they needed.
to this
Now, all of
motion,
a sudden, we've got
to this motion, I have shared with the board that I have been contacted previously by the U.S., not Debbie Piles, but the United States Department of Education for violations of law. That is not a lie. Okay, who is that? Can security please get on that? Ms. Hampton, please do not shout out again. So, no. I was contacted by the U.S. Department of Education. Our business is out there. We have violations of law. We have an opportunity to reach out to these agencies, state and federal, and ask for assistance and guidance to get back on track. That is not punitive. That actually helps mitigate the consequences of our actions collectively. I will remind the Board of Education that the Attorney General does not need permission from this Board of Education to come in. And passing of this resolution or it failing does not preclude any individual from reaching out. However, this vote on this resolution gives this Board of Education an opportunity to come together and say, we want to do what's right. It's not about fault. It is about going forward and having a sustainable district that is not about any one of us or any leader or anybody here, but we use this time to invest and make wise decisions in a way so that when we no longer sit here, when leadership no longer sits here, we have made wise decisions for the longevity of this district. That is the only thing we need to be considering right now. Not what we're disgruntled about, not what we're holding hostage, not what we think about each other personally. Right now, I implore this Board of Education to set aside all personal differences and look at our situation and only this motion and decide accordingly. Mr. Bergeron.
Okay. Question on the motion.
Do you have a question, sir?
No, run it.
Ms. Evans?
Kennard,
Yes.
Bergeron,
No.
Evans, yes. Terrell,
No.
Lester,
No.
Piles.
Yes.
Is Ms. German back on?
Motion fails. Okay, Mr. Bergeron, please stop yelling. We've had other board members do that. So, okay.
Madam President,
So now that we have finished item number 6.
I make a motion to amend the agenda.
And you, okay, moved by Wester. Ms. Terrell, are you still supporting?
I am supporting.
Supported by Terrell. Madam Secretary, please call the roll for the motion to amend the agenda. Sure.
Yeah, here. Well, you know what? We're doing this for everybody. Put our differences aside. Okay? On this motion, put our differences aside and vote for what's right. Because you put us in this position. You put us in this position, okay? I mean, as a person, I think you're wonderful, but you know what? As a board leader, no. You put us in this position, you've got the whole community up in arms. Apparently, you don't talk to people in the community. I do. Not one of you I've seen out in the community. I was at the chamber meeting the other day, and they're going, what the hell is wrong with your school board? Why are they doing that? Anyway, think about this. We're all a part of this, and get your feelings behind you, and let's vote the right way.
So right now, the motion is simply to amend the agenda, to add another item. Mrs. Evans, will you please call the roll?
Bergeron,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Kennard,
No.
Piles,
No.
Evans, yes.
Motion fails.
No, no, she said yes.
Okay,
Motion passed.
so, okay, sir, please don't speak, please don't do that. So as a point of information. Yes, I can count, thank you. As a point of information, a motion to amend the agenda must be approved by 2/3 of the 7, which would require a vote of 5 to pass. Therefore, a vote of 4-2, the motion to amend the agenda fails. And Mr. Hanson, you can this at me all night. This is parliamentary procedure.
We
And
can
yes,
put
it
aside
is.
this.
Okay,
We can put aside.
Mr. Sutton,
We can put
to
aside
amend the agenda,
board
does it require?
policy.
Hear what Mr. Sutton said.
Okay,
We can set aside the board policy.
okay, so then we would need a motion to set that aside, which would also require that vote. And that, okay, the motion failed, the motion failed 4-2. Moving on, we have a report.
Debbie, Madam President, I believe the policy indicates the majority of the board members present,
No, elected and serving.
elected and serving.
Right, so there
We
are
have
7
six.
board members
The
elected.
majority, 2/3 of the
No,
majority.
it's 2/3 of the board elected and serving. The Board of Education of Romulus Community Schools
We have
has
6.
elected a board of 7 to serve the district.
Okay.
It is not those present, that is quorum.
So you're saying that we have to have 4-3 in order to pass anything? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, in order for any action item to pass, requires 4-3. However, a motion to amend the agenda or a motion to go into closed session requires a 2/3 vote, which is 5 members of those elected and serving, not those present. Which is why at previous meetings, when we have had a vote to go into closed session, and the vote was 4-3, the motion failed, because it requires a 2/3 vote to amend the agenda after the meeting has started and also to go into closed session. So therefore, the motion fails. Moving on to item number 7, report of the Interim Director of Human Resources, Mr. Daniel Scott. I'm sorry? The resolution for the outside agencies failed. Mr. Scott, welcome to RCS and to your first board meeting. Thank you for coming and helping us with our HR department. You have the floor.
When I came, I was told that there was a need for a school nurse here, and I experienced that probably within the first 2 weeks. And so we had to make some emergency plans to actually ask RISA to provide nursing services for us. And that is where we are at this point. But I was told that we need to hire a nurse for the district. Therefore, we are bringing to you the asking to post the position for a school nurse.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion? And if there's a motion and support, we can open the floor for discussion for any questions.
Madam President, recommended motion, move that the Board of Education approve the posting for a vacancy of school nurse, pre-K to 8th grade. The rationale, the presented job posting, a vacancy announcement is submitted for the board consideration. We are seeking board approval to post this position. This position is needed due to special education, IEP, and medical needs requiring nurse services. This item was recently included in our board agenda of November 22nd, 2021. And the budget implications is from the general fund, and the exhibits in the board package is the vacancy announcement. School nurse pre-K 8-12 grade, December 13th, 2021.
Moved by Kennard, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Evans. I would like to ask a question of you, Mr. Scott, and also of legal. In the rationale, it states that the reason for this the reason for posting this position is the position is needed due to special education IEP and medical needs requiring nurse services. Therefore, is the district legally obligated to provide a nurse in order to be compliant with our IEPs and not be in violation?
We are legally responsible for having a nurse available to be able to help out with students who may be on an IEP, and therefore, for example, if we have a student that comes into the district that's diabetic, then we have to actually do a plan. The nurse has to do the plan as to how that will go forward with the administration and what their responsibilities are, what the parents' responsibilities are, to also provide training for the administration to be able to serve the student.
Thank you for that.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Wester.
I know as it relates to the office staff being trained in the schools, as it relates to a student that is a diabetic, there is a training that the secretaries can go to and attend over at Wayne Risa. As it relates to the medical plans, when a student is a diabetic, those plans actually come from their doctors, in which we as the school will follow the plan that is in place by the doctor. The nurse does not put the plan together. It's usually, the plan comes in from University of Michigan or whoever the doctor may be that says that MJ is to, he gets his insulin checked or his blood checked at this point in time, and the same thing for those that are taking medication. So it's not really always special education and IEP. So we really got, it can be just general students that are in need of things.
Yes.
So it's
That
not
have
really
medical
just,
issues.
right.
That's correct.
So it's not just special ed and IEP. But the plan is not always written, is not written by your district nurse. We follow what is.
I will say the
Yeah.
doctor gives the instructions of what needs to occur. The nurse usually, in conjunction with the parent, I have been in my prior experience in a district where, yes, we did have a nurse, actually it was the nurse from RISA, who came out and supported us in obtaining information from the doctor and then wrote the plan based upon the doctor's input, the parents' input, and then the schools.
The doctor institutes the plan.
The doctor tells us what the medical requirements are for this child, as you stated earlier.
Medication at this time, and this time.
That type of thing. That is correct.
And
okay?
that's the plan that we follow.
And then there is a plan.
Secretary.
There's a plan that has to be written for the building as to how they're going to take care of that. Who is going to take care of that? If the child is old enough and the parent says that the child can come down and test their own insulin, then that's part of the plan. The doctor doesn't determine that. That's why the nurse is important to developing the plan.
Ms. Broaden had indicated to me in, I think, the end of October, early November, that we currently have students with IEPs, and according to their IEPs, and this is in addition to the general ed students who would require insulin or other medication distribution, but Ms. Broaden indicated that we have students who currently have IEPs, and in the IEPs, it is written that a nurse needs to be available for them, a nurse specifically beyond plans. And she shared with me that we do not have that. Are there any other questions or concerns from board members? Ms. Kennard?
Yes, I have a question. So currently, do the district have a nurse? So you're saying,
Currently, we are using the services of RISA, and we had to actually contract with them to be able to get those services, and we just actually received the response from them last week after, let me back up, not the response, the contract. Because there was Thanksgiving when we started the process, and it has to go through several levels of whatever at RISA to then assign someone. But I have been working with them to try to speed up the process with the nurse resource person at RISA.
okay, I guess my concern is with a district of this size, and you're asking for one, so how was RISA able to accommodate a district of this size, of this magnitude, of, handling this type of a situation? Are we looking at this particular need just as a fix, or are we looking at it in the broader terms of, what we really should be looking at? One nurse can accommodate the entire district and working with the physicians, is that what you're saying? So that person's support to the doctor's order, is that what I hear you saying?
Yes.
Okay.
She helps to do the plan in the building as to
Okay.
how it's going to be executed, what the doctor's orders are.
Okay, thank you.
And she trains staff.
Another point in this motion to be noted is that the motion is for the Board of Education to approve the posting for a nurse. This is not the hiring of a nurse, this is to post and to accept applications so that we are compliant with the IEPs for students who are to be receiving this service. Are there any other questions on this motion? Ms. Kennard?
Yes, I have another question. So will RISA still be supporting us? Because this is up to pre-K to 8th. What about beyond 8th? I mean, will we still be getting that support from RISA, even though we had that? Will the nurse?
This position that you're talking about here is pre-K to 8th, which is what was suggested, okay? I personally have no input into that. This is what came to me. RISA, when they give us support, it's for whatever we need K-12.
Okay, gotcha.
Ms. Broughton had indicated that this was an area where we were not getting the support staff from RISA in the pre-K through 8 specifically, and that's where the IEPs were. So.
Thanks for that explanation.
Yes.
Okay.
If that is all, questions and comments, Madam Secretary, will you please call the vote?
Bergeron? Yes. Evans, yes. Piles?
Yes.
Terrell? Yes. Thank you. Lester?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Motion to post for the position of a school nurse for pre-K through 8th grade passes. Next, we have the report of the Manager of Operations, Facilities, Maintenance, Mr. Bill Garland, who will talk to us about bid pack 5 and 5A.
Good evening, Board. I just wanted to answer one of the questions on the proposal for Mr. Scott. our high school has a clinic, the Beaumont Clinic, that sees to the, usually to the needs of our students that are in the high school. So if that helps quell any concerns. So on November 1st, mechanical bids were received. I'm sorry. The mechanical were received on November 5th. And for formal bids for bid pack 5 and 5A, Barton Mallow has reviewed all of these and conducted post-bid interviews, even disqualifying one of the individuals for not having some of the requirements. We are prepared to recommend the following actions concerning the award contract, which you guys have. And the total amount recommended for this award is $3,688,605 for these bid packs. These are for the new secured front entry for Romulus Middle School and Romulus Elementary, as well as extensive work at Romulus Elementary on their curtain walls that go up both sides that are no longer keeping water out of the building. We also, in bid pack 5A, we added the bus loop. If there's anyone from transportation here, they'll attest to the significant degradation of that area. So we're looking for board approval to move forward. And if you have any in-detail questions, we have Ms. Catherine Allen from Barton Mallows here who could answer some, or if I can answer them, I will as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board members for Mr. Garland? Or from, I'm sorry, who's with us from Barton Mallows?
Catherine Allen.
Hi, Catherine. Ms. Kennard, do you have any questions? Do you have a question? Oh, Ms. Evans.
I have a question. Behind the middle school, there's that parking lot that's kind of bad. Is that included in this, or?
That is not.
Okay.
Now, we are looking, depending on, once we get some clarification on where our funding is, we have also had Spalding D. Decker give us pricing on doing different sections that we could, depending on where our sinking fund budget falls, add some different things. If not this year, next year. We're looking to do some minor repairs as well. But this bus loop is significant because we have to put in a detention field for it, and that's required by the Wayne County Water Transportation Department and the Michigan State Watershed Project. We have to have all those things in order to move forward.
Mr. Garland, I have a question. How much is generated from the sinking fund each year? I thought it was 2.3 million, and this is for 3.6, so where is the?
Well, the last recordings that we were getting, that it was up over $3 million because of the advent of Amazon, okay. And we've had more coming. Now, I'm pretty sure that we last heard that we were receiving 3.1, 3.2, but a lot of this is carryover from the previous year. We didn't spend all our money. Okay. We're not borrowing in the future. Mm-hmm. We don't want to do that. We want to spend each chunk as we move forward, and there is even money left over from this that would be either used next year, or if we can do some little things this year, we'll do those as well.
Wonderful. Ms. Kennard, did you have a question? Does anyone else have any questions? I did have one other question for you, Mr. Garland. We have the bid pack 5 and the bid pack 5A, and then it's listed alternate add a monument sign at the Board of Education office. When did that? I know that when Barton Mallow gave us a presentation of the projects and years out, a sign at the board office was not included in that. So when did that become an option or under consideration? And what is the plan for that? Because I know at one point Barton Mallow or IDS, it may have been Sam, was expressing that the scale, those monument signs are very big and would overpower the central office given the size. So when was that put into consideration? Are we able to bid on this pack without that right now?
Well, initially, it was supposed to be done this year with this bid pack. But everyone needs to remember, we've still been in COVID. It's been going on for almost 2 years now. And so it limited the work we could get done. So we pushed it forward to this year as an alternate. We're still, if you go around to our schools, we still don't have our signs because there are no
Yeah.
parts and pieces yet. And so we're looking to get it. IDS, Sam Maselli, and Barton Mallow have all met with, Spalding D. Decker, found out what our requirements are and what we need to do. And it was thought that most board offices, if you go, District 7, many of the Dearborn Heights, Dearborn, their administration buildings have electronic signs as well. And so we would scale it back more to the size of probably what RECC has and maybe a little smaller.
And what is that sign the alternate for? Says the alternate, so it's the alternate for what other project? Or is it just part of this pack?
Yeah, it's an alternate for this pack.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other questions from board members?
Catherine, that's right?
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, Madam Secretary. I believe we had, didn't we have the motion?
No, we did
Oh,
not.
I apologize for that. I am so sorry.
Okay, Madam
Is there a
President,
motion?
recommended motion. Move that the Board of Education award the bid Pack 5 and 5A contract as presented in Barton Mallow's letter dated November the 15th, 2021 for projects. Actions identified included secured entries at Romulus Elementary and Romulus Middle School and bus loop improvements for a project total amount of $3,688,605. The rationale presented are current bid tabulations for bid Pack 5 and 5A as provided by the Barton Marlow builders. Formal bids were received for bid Pack 5 and 5A projects. Please refer to the presented Barton Marlow letter for additional details. It is recommended that the bid and contract be awarded to Barton Marlow. This bid award was originally scheduled for board consideration at our November the 22nd, 2021 board meeting. The budget implications are sinking fund. In our board packets, we have the bid tabulations. The bid packet 5 and 5A include Barton Marlow letter dated from November 15th, 2021 regarding BP number 5 and BP 5A. And Exhibit A, bid package 5A and 5A, construction management staffing plan dated November the 11th, 2021.
Support.
Moved by Kennard, supported by Evans. And while this is on the floor, before we take it to vote, Mr. Garland, thank you. Nobody knows our buildings or takes care of them the way you have for ever. Anytime, day or night. And then when the sinking fund was added, you somehow made time and have been at the meetings, have offered significant contributions and gone and checked and double-checked and brought this back. And thank you to the voters for passing this. It's much needed. But thank you to you, because without your diligence and without your knowledge and without your commitment, we would not be able to effectively maximize the impact of these sinking fund dollars. So thank you very much for all that you've done. Seeing no further questions, Madam Secretary.
Bergeron? Kennard?
Yes.
Evans, yes. Terrell? Yes. Piles?
Yes.
Lester?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Next, report of the board president. First is an email just received from the city clerk, Mrs. Ellen Craig Bragg. She says, "Dear Romulus Board of Education, RCS administrators, faculty, and staff, the Martin Luther King Day Planning Committee is actively preparing for the 20th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration ceremony to be held on Monday, January 17th, 2022. The theme for this year is It Starts With Me, Shifting Priorities to Create the Beloved Community. As you know, this event has always been a collaborative effort between the City of Romulus, Romulus Community Schools, and the Romulus Ministerial Alliance. Your support provided in the previous years has contributed to the success of the MLK Day celebration. A community march will begin at 8 a.m., starting from the Romulus Middle School and ending at the high school, followed by a pancake breakfast held in the Romulus High School cafeteria. Additionally, a program will be held in the high school auditorium starting at 10 a.m. If you have students who would like to participate in the program, please let me know by January 13th, 2022. Attached is a sample letter and the official MLK Day celebration flyer that has been mailed to the administrative office and school buildings. The Planning Committee encourages you to copy and share the flyer with your staff, students, parents, and visitors alike. Should you have any questions and/or additional information, please do not hesitate to call or email me. Thank you for your commitment and participation. Board members, I will forward that email along with the flyer. This is one of our wonderful community events that we all enjoy, and so I do want to make sure that that's stated on the record, and Mr. McNatt, you can communicate with administrators to see what students would like to participate in that program. But board members and community members, please mark your calendar for Monday, January 17th, 2022. Secondly, we are at a standstill today for these services that are needed to operate our district from day to day and to also get our audit done so that we can get our funding. I did not receive any questions on these topics today, but if board members have them, I respectfully request that you ask them. If any were shared with Mr. McNatt, I respect everyone's decision to vote no on a motion, but if we could at least be gathering information and understanding that, because at this point, we still have all of these holes. The Urban Leadership Specialist contract, for example. If we're here for students, we just hurt our students tonight. We hurt our students badly by voting no to the urban leadership. They have been with us since Margie McAnally, and the first time I was in the high school, Mr. Hall got me and he said, "Mrs. Piles, there's a group of people I want you to meet." And he took me to the Success Lab and he told me about the impact that service, that initiative, and specifically those people had on our high school students. Mr. Dewberry understands trauma. He's committed to equity, and he has lived and been on the punitive end of educators who misunderstand and misread, and he is able to work with our students and close that gap in a supportive environment, in a nurturing environment. And we have had that program for our students through Margie McAnally, through Flanoia Hall, through Nicole Crockett, and through Dr. Benjamin Edmondson, because there is value to our students. And today, this motion, we hurt our students because we took away a resource that was valuable prior to COVID. But now it is much needed. And we had an opportunity to bring them to the middle school because we have gone from 2 administrators to 1. And instead of just hiring a body to be an administrator, this specifically targeted the needs of our middle school students. And we hurt them by saying no. And that's fine. Everybody is entitled to their vote. But there was no information that was requested. Like, I guess I don't understand. This has been in place under 4 superintendents, and administrators and superintendents have all talked about the value of this program. Today, because there was a standstill, and we're getting ready to go into Christmas break, so potentially we may need a special meeting. I will be contacting board members and asking, check your calendars for Wednesday or Thursday, because I respectfully request that we do not go into the holiday season with these holes. Our audit will not be done. I mean, we voted no for the Attorney General. Guess what? If we don't get our audit finished, if we ignore the violations of federal and state law, the Attorney General's coming anyway. The attorney, yes, they do need to. They absolutely need to. I mean, I guess we all agree on that. Wonderful. But the motion failed. So yes, I do want to state that I'll be contacting board members and potentially scheduling a special meeting for Wednesday or Thursday. I think that is it for my report. We now move on to communications from the public. Before we begin that, if anybody would like to speak but has not yet submitted their form to Secretary Evans, please do that. Guidelines for public participation at board meetings. As stated in Board Policy 1002, meetings of the Board of Education, the board will establish guidelines concerning public participation at board meetings. The guidelines will include, but not be limited to, limiting the time an individual may address the board to 3 minutes, requiring individuals who wish to address the board to identify themselves and their address and any organization they may represent, advising the public that generally the board and individual board members will not directly respond to comments or questions that arise during the public participation portion of the meeting, requiring individuals who wish to address the board to direct their comments to the entire board and not to individual board members, the superintendent, other school district employees, or members of the audience, prohibiting behavior that is intemperate, abusive, defamatory, or discourteous, or that otherwise interferes with the orderly conduct and timely completion of the board meeting, excluding from the meeting an individual who engages in conduct that constitutes a breach of the peace. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. While it is not our intent to stifle public comment, speakers should be aware that if your statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally responsible. If you are unsure of the legal ramifications of what you are about to say, we urge you to consult first with your legal advisor. As we proceed into public comment, we have our policy attorney with us who will help identify any public comments or portions of them that violate board policy. It is my hope and belief that every member on this board desires to uphold board policy, since it has been adopted by board action. Therefore, Mr. Sutton, thank you for being here and your willingness to indicate anything that violates board policy so that we can remain compliant with that. In the event that Mr. Sutton indicates there is a violation, I will gavel. And Mr. Cooper, I ask that you please mute the YouTube so that it doesn't go out over YouTube. Things that violate our board policy. And if you are gavelled, please do not continue speaking or you will be removed from the meeting. No. Okay, no, that's actually board policy. That was in place before any of us, Mr. Yeah, okay. So it's unfortunate when existing laws, people have a problem with following them, but that's something that is outside of my responsibility. So, Ms. Evans, if you would please, and also, at the end of 3 minutes, we ask that you stop speaking. No, it's 3 minutes. What is that book? Sir, that is not our policy. Okay, Ms. Evans, please call.
Rita Hampton.
Done, and we got someone, and I don't have to mention their names. When you just got off the banana boat and you don't know what's going on in the district, the behavior as a sociology teacher for over 35 years is something is wrong. That's what you look at before you start commenting. Something is wrong here. First of all, there's a big fat lie was told about the Attorney General of the United States. I called because I want to get in on that. I've taught government for over 35 years. No one has contacted the Attorney General of the United States. And if they have, they need to let you all know, especially the board members should know if they have been connected. I called them. Let me tell you what happened. A lot of clicks. Who? What city? Romulus? What? What, man, what do you do? They don't know anything about it. We're like a pimple on an elephant's behind. Now, I don't like that I call that strong arming, trying to in cahoots. I'm not going to waste time with that because there has nothing been done at the national level or the state level. They don't even want to be bothered with local politics. Work it out ourselves. Mr. McNatt was suggested when Dr. Ben went on vacation, went on medical leave. That's what you've done here is ratchet. When some board members are incompetent or use consciously unethical practices to prevent the board and the school district as a whole from moving forward in support of saying, I believe in students. I noticed the flipping the script. It's about the district. Blah, blah. We are asking, when is Dr. Ben coming back? That's why I disrupted the meeting last time, and you're still on the same, why are we wasting time? So, we got another way we can do this. We can write the governor, and she has the authority under the Michigan constitutional law to remove board members. I will start on that. Because you're right. Young lady, it's taken too long. And I can't wait either. And I'm the most patient person. I pray a lot. I have so much to say. I don't know what to say. This is disgusting. The reason they are disrespectful, attorney, to Mrs. Piles because she lies. She's full of mendacity and she's created a district contentious spirit. That's why. And you come here accusing. That's why.
Time is up, Ms. Hampton.
My time is up when I move, just like that.
Your time is up, ma'am.
Time is up.
When you create a contentious
Your time is
spirit,
up, Ms. Hampton.
You cannot have
Ms. Hampton, you need to be removed from the meeting. Ms. Hampton, you need to leave the meeting.
No, thank you to you.
You need to leave the meeting.
No, and
You have
like
3 minutes.
I said,
Okay.
Until
Ms.
Don't come in.
Hampton, stop
Until
speaking. You have 3
we
minutes.
stand up and fight this,
my gosh.
we will lose our district. We will lose our district.
Okay. I'm going to choose to respond to that, and I'm going to reference an email that not only I received from the U.S. Department of Education, but that also Vice President Kennard, Treasurer Wester, and Secretary Evans also received on September 30th, 2021, from Special Agent Brian Proven, Office of Inspector General, U.S. Department of Education. So yes, I was contacted by them. I am not lying, and somebody reaching out to someone else does not make me a liar. It makes the person you reached out to the wrong contact. So, and this same U.S. agent, yes, we are on the radar of the United States Department of Education because they've reached out to current people working in finance right now. We have violated the law, and we can say no all we want. We have multiple violations of federal and state law. So anyway, to clarify, that comment that was made was false and inaccurate. Ms. Evans.
Mr. Hanson.
I think Ms. Kennard talked about how much time we spent in the district. This is my 23rd year in the district. And again, I'm really disgusted with what's going on here. I am the Secretary Treasurer of the RAA. Ms. Piles, I'm sorry, I'm using your name. I'm still waiting for your response when we talked about you contacting Miller Johnson about me. My name was attached to a 20-minute conversation. I would like to know why I was the subject of that and why it would cost the people of this district $80 for them to talk, for you to talk about someone like myself, an employee of 23 years. I would like a response as well at the end of this. You said that you would respond to me and you did not privately, but I would like a response. The community is reaching out to me and they're asking, why are we not allowed public comments when we join virtually? When you allow certain members to pop in and out whenever they want, to vote whenever they want. Why are you limiting people's voices? And that's what you're doing. You're hiding behind the law and you're limiting people's voices. Right now, you're on the phone. That is against the Open Meetings Act.
No, it's not, sir.
It is.
I'm opening my timer.
Okay, wait. Use of email and other electronic communications among board members during an open meeting, email, texting, or other forms of electronic communications among members of a board or commission during a course of an open meeting that constitutes deliberations towards decision-making or actual decisions violates the Open Meetings Act.
That is correct.
And you do this.
And I opened my screen to get.
We can't even see what's on your screen.
And you don't need to.
That's right. Yes.
You
that's
don't
part of
need
the Open
to.
Meetings Act. It's part of being
I'm sorry,
open.
I should not be responding to you. I apologize.
You keep threatening about the state attorney general. We do need the state attorney general brought in. You need to be investigated. Other people need to be investigated regarding your Open Meetings Act. When you guys threw Dr. Edmondson out, that was totally illegal. Being on your phone and trying to talk to people and call people during a vote, that is illegal. That's against the Open Meetings Act. We want Dr. Edmondson back. Okay, that's what the employees want, Ms. Kennard. Okay, an employee of 23 years and many of the other ones here, we want the guy that we could work with back. There's a reason why this board office, not this one, the one on Grant Road, is empty. You lost two more people.
Time is up.
All right, can you respond to my question, by the way?
Your time is up.
You responded to her question.
Okay, yeah, I will answer your question.
Okay.
So, the board was provided a legal opinion on the use of our cell phones and speakers to conduct business because our board members were present virtually but could not be heard. There was a technical difficulty. So we connected them on our phone by speaker, which is permissible under the Open Meetings Act. It requires that there's two-way communication for those joining remotely to hear and be heard by those in the audience and those conducting business. So yes, we are able to connect by phone. It does not have to be Google Meet or Zoom. And this Board of Education had a closed meeting with an attorney where we were struggling to get connected, and the attorney said, connect me on speaker, and we all connected. So that's not a violation. Now, if the audience is erupting and cannot hear, that is outside of our control. But a legal opinion was sent to the entire board that verified, well, Mr. Bergeron, it was sent to the board. It was sent to the board. But you have the responsibility, no, because Ms. Terrell, okay, Ms.
Excuse
Terrell
me?
responded. So anyway.
The question I have
we've clarified that,
is
yes.
why did you spend $80 to talk to an attorney about myself?
Oh, when was that, Mr. Hanson?
That
What
was
the date?
September 1st.
I don't remember talking about you. I'd have to find out.
Really? You said you were going to get back to me. You never got back
No,
to me
I
about
don't,
it.
but you know what? I don't remember speaking about you. But I did reach out to legal last week, or after the last meeting, after you assaulted me, so there will be another invoice.
Excuse me, how did I assault you?
Okay, I'm
Excuse
sorry.
me, that conversation is over right now. You are not responding back
Okay,
to that one.
I'm sorry. Ms. Evans?
Wow.
Mike, you guys can speak privately after the meeting if you wish.
Ms. Evans?
Emily Motrin.
What was that date?
Motrin.
September what?
I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it.
That was a Wednesday, I think.
Good evening. My name is Emily Maturin. I'm a fourth grade teacher at Hale Creek Elementary. This is not my first rodeo at one of these meetings for a reason. I also want to mention that I am one of the many people working in the trenches, as the top seem, the majority of the people who have a say are ruining this district. I also want to mention that the hypocrisy that I've been noticing, not just with this meeting, but with every single one since I've been coming, specifically since this September, is outrageous. The hypocrisy is unbelievable, and it can be factually proven because it's all on camera. All the facts are out there, and I just want to say, it's good trouble. John Lewis right here. I mean, people are upset because things are wrong, and when things are wrong, our voices aren't heard unless people stand up for it. That's just how it happens. That's how change happens. And also, I do want to mention the hypocrisy because we have had if you speak to other lawyers as well, there are so many open meeting acts that have been violated by this board. I just think it's the hypocrisy is just, I'm shaking with anger with the hypocrisy when we're talking about people in the community, but then that's one of the points I want to make. Also, a major urgent question is why are public comments closed to the public if they are attending this meeting online? I don't know how that's possible. I'm not sure why that's happening. I would like to know. That's just silencing the people who you are affecting and who have the power to vote you out. Second, why is it that in the past board meetings there have been hired security officers as well as tonight, but in 3 of our elementary schools at this moment, since school started, Wick, Barth, and Hale Creek, we still do not have our front doors locked since this summer's construction. We have no cameras, no swipe-ins. I understand there are shortages. I understand but that is something that should be top priority. We do not have a locked building at our school, and I am frightened for our students, especially at this time. That's updated as of today. That is showing that the protection and safety of our students and staff is not a priority. Another thing, there are so many I want to say, and also please take the shaking in my voice. It's something that happens when I am upset about something that is wrong that's happening, not of weakness. I've watched the board meetings that Ms. German has attended. I'm just saying, and she's not here tonight. I just want to mention that she has, once they've been virtual at her board or at her school, She has attended all the ones that I watched virtually and been on camera for all of those, and I'm wondering why she has been absent for so many of ours in the district that she serves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Jill able to speak to security when it will be fixed?
Ms. Carter? Ms. Carter, in the future, will you please note your address? Thank you.
Is that a new procedure? I've never once put my personal home address on a paper as the REA president ever.
It is. It's in our bylaws, and it's been existing. But go ahead. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Sarah Carter, REA president. Just to note, again, second meeting, Ms. German is not attending, and I know she'll probably see this online, so I'm going to direct all of this to her. So once again, I'm here to talk about integrity and ethics, and it seems that once again, Ms. German does not understand her role as a board member, nor does she understand the things that would be viewed as conflict of interest. Last week, Ms. German contacted, interviewed, and offered a position at her school to one of our Romulus Community Schools elementary teachers. How can you say that you are here for our students of Romulus when you willingly would take one of our teachers in the middle of the school year and leave our students with a substitute? You are not here for the best interest of our students and community. You are here to better yourself and your school. You have made it clear over and over that you will not do what is in the best interest of our students. Any board member sitting up there that does not view this as unethical and a conflict of interest also has no business representing this community and our students. Enough is enough. German, you need to resign immediately, and board members, you need to demand that she do so. Unacceptable.
Jessica Rice?
Good evening, everyone. I will introduce myself since there are some new faces here this evening. My name is Jessica Rice. I graduated from Romulus High School, class of 2007, and I am now our band director at both the middle school and high school, and a building rep for REA for the high school. So some of the things that I'm going to ask tonight overlap with things other people have said, but I have a few very specific questions, somewhat related to what we talked about this evening, and then some things not related to what we talked about this evening. So first of all, I just want to bring up that in November of 2018, our district received ALICE training here at the high school during a professional development session. It was a video that we all watched together during the professional development, and there were no further actions taken during that training, no further guidance, no further practice of that procedure outside of our district lockdown drills. I just want to know what the district's plan is to make sure that our training is up to date, given that we've had so much staff overturn since 2018, given the current climate in school safety in the state of Michigan. The second part to that, the last meeting that I spoke at, we had pretty close to the entire Romulus police force here, as well as 2 paid security guards. Currently, at Romulus High School, we have 4 ambassadors on staff. One of those people is at the desk and mans the cameras, so we only have 3 who are out in the building at any given time. And we no longer have a school resource officer, so at any given time, there are only 3 security out and about in the building at Romulus High School. We currently have more security on staff here tonight than we do in our buildings on any daily basis. We have a high school of approximately 700 students. It's fluctuated above and below that, so I'll guesstimate 700. At the middle school, we have approximately 400 students, and we have 2 security guards on staff. And as a middle school teacher this year, there have been 2 distinct occasions that I have left that building in the afternoon, and I have called my family very upset because I have, for the first time in my life, not felt safe in my career because of being forced to come down the hallway like this in mounds of students who are getting ready to fight and not having enough security to come break them all up. The fact of the matter is that many of us out here are nervous based on what's happened, and I just want to bring it to the attention of the board and to the attention of our administrators, because this is something that I could casually bring up with Dr. Edmondson had he been here. This is something I know he would talk to me about, and I can't go to him because he's not here. So, a couple more things. I did want to mention public participation, but I think Ms. Matern mentioned that, so I won't go into that. And then the last thing here, I've heard a couple people state that Ms. German was absent this evening, and I very vividly remember Ms. German checking in Wyandotte, Michigan, voting to approve this agenda to start the meeting and then leaving. And I have a problem with that.
Doris Green.
Doris Green, Essex Street, Romulus, Michigan. First thing I want to bring to the staff's attention is that not only do we have armed security guards in here, escorted by 2 Romulus police officers, but I want to ask our president, do you know the policy on arms in the school district? And who's allowed to carry them?
Citizens cannot carry
Neither
weapons
can
in there.
security. The only people who are allowed to carry weapons in this school district is the Romulus Police Department. So, that being said, I will ask our 2 Romulus police officers sitting in the back to secure the weapons and the handcuffs of the security that you have hired in here tonight. Will they please secure their weapons? It doesn't matter if you got a CPL. It doesn't matter if you got a CPL or not. It states right here in state law. So secure your weapons to the police department, please, or leave the building. Now you've got a command here. They can either secure their weapons to the police department, or they can leave the building. Or they can leave the building. That's right. No armed guards. Look at your policy, and I have it right here. So they can either secure their weapons to the Romulus Police Department, or they can leave. Now, that's your choice. And if you violate that, I guarantee you an officer will be in here to take care of it. Make your move.
That is not my move.
You hired them.
No.
You hired them.
Okay.
You hired them.
No, that is not my move.
You hired them. Romulus
Okay.
Police Department, will you please do your job and secure the weapons of people who are violating the policy of the school district?
If you want armed or unarmed, and you said armed.
It don't matter.
So
It don't
please
matter.
address
He
that
can't
and
give
protect
permission. It's about your policy, lady. You can't supersede your policy. I've asked it, and I made a request from the board to have them remove their weapons or leave the building. Secure their weapons to a police department. Now, you have to secure your weapons. You are not Romulus Police, State Police, or Wayne County.
Okay,
You have
so
to secure your weapons.
Mr. Green, we have Romulus police here,
And they will secure their weapons.
and they can
No,
see their
but
weapons. So
yeah.
if there is a violation of law, then
There is a
I will
direct
defer to the
violation.
Romulus Police Department to handle that.
So handle it.
Well, no, if the Romulus Police know it's a violation of law, they will handle it.
They can't arrest them. They have to ask them to secure the weapons or escort them out because they're hired by the board. But the school policy. MCL 28.45A for completion of statutory text. Schools or school property, but may not carry in a vehicle or property.
Mr. Green, time is up.
I understand that, but you stopped my time.
No.
Stopped my time.
No, I
You
didn't
stopped
stop
my
your time.
You stopped
You
my
weren't
time.
talking, sir.
You stopped
You
my
weren't
time. I
talking.
wasn't talking. You stopped my time. I made a request and you didn't have to
Okay.
honor my request. So now you asked me.
your time is
You
up.
asked me to read the
I
school
didn't ask you that.
policy.
The time is
There
up.
it is, right there. There it is, right here.
Okay.
Here is your policy.
Okay.
They have to remove their
Time
weapons
is
or either
up.
be escorted
Okay,
out.
so
And you're in violation.
we have Romulus Police Department here, and if there's a violation of law, I trust them to handle it.
Next, Kathleen Zoltowski.
Okay, Mr. Green, please do not speak out.
Good evening. In general, I come every week or every meeting and I don't ever speak. I don't like to do this. In fact, what I'm going to say is going to be short and sweet. We keep having this conversation about a standstill. Can we talk about why there's a standstill? Your peers on the board and the community, your staff, have all asked you to bring our boss back. That's the standstill. If you brought him back, all of these motions would probably be passed because we know that he's in support of that. At this point, we don't know that that's what he's after, but we trust him. In my 18 years of teaching here, I have never seen this staff come together so much for an administrator, ever. Ever at central office, ever. We are all here collectively saying that we want him back, that we value him. He values us. He values the community. He's shown that. Between the golf outing and all the other things that he has reached out to businesses within the community to come together to do things for our students. They see it, we see it. How come some of you don't see this? So the standstill is not with the rest of us. It's with a few of you. I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of what Jesse said regarding the SRO. You guys voted not to have an SRO in our building. That happened. We no longer have one. I get to finish.
Yeah, finish.
We no longer have one. Mind you, in the state that we're in, I want you to think about how many outside doors are in this building. Way more than 30. And you have 3 ambassadors to man this entire building. So what happens when they're at lunch? Because that's where they're at. If anything happens anywhere else in the building, there's no one here to help. It becomes staff, teachers, people that are not experts. It is not my job to split fights up. It is not Jesse's job to do that. Doesn't mean we won't, but it's not my job. There are people that we should have in place for those things. And we need to reconsider the safety of these buildings and our students, a word that gets passed around every once in a while around here when they feel like it works for their benefit. Students, our students.
Thank you.
Mia Menz.
My name is Mia Mims, and I live on Warman Street. This is my second in-person board meeting, but I have been watching virtual. I sat in the audience and I contemplated coming up here, and I just couldn't sit there and not say anything. I have not heard a parent speak. I am a parent. I have raised 3 kids in this district. I am a homeowner, and I am sick to my stomach right now. I have not heard nothing. My son is a senior. I've had family members that have called me and said, Mia, you've been in Romulus. How do you like Romulus schools? I love Romulus schools. My daughters went to school on scholarships, academic scholarships. I had a daughter graduate from Central. I have a daughter that's a senior at Central, and I have a son that is a senior this year at Romulus High School. If any of my family call and say, Mia, what do you think about Romulus High School? I'm going to say, don't bring your kids here. Because it is sickening the way this board is so divided and cannot get nothing done. All I've heard the last 3 months is the audit is almost done. It's going to be done this day. The interim superintendent, his contract is to December the 11th. I remember that vividly. And every time someone asks to bring the superintendent back, it gets blown into the wind. It's disgusting, and I don't know what you 7, well, 6, need to do to get this fixed, because obviously Mrs. German is more concerned about her district than our district. Please, for the sake of our students, for the sake of my children, I believed in this district. I don't believe in this district anymore because of what I have witnessed the last 3 months. So I'm begging you guys to figure it out, because at this point, we're losing. We're not winning anything because nothing is getting done. And the only thing that I see happening is more money going out. We don't have money for our kids, but we have plenty of money to give to all these people that are temporary here. And it's sad. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more, Ms. Evans? No. Okay. So I have the public so per legal and OMA, since we are conducting meetings in person and the public has the opportunity to address the board in person, then that is how we will do public comment. And that is in compliance with the OMA. We are not silencing anyone, okay. So that we are in compliance with the OMA.
We are not,
I
Debbie.
will, okay.
President, we are
Yes.
not in compliance.
Where are we
We have
violating?
been operating on the Emergency Open Meetings Act. That is how our board members have been able to attend virtually. And it is supposed to be a two-way communication that allows our public to communicate. It would be a different thing if we were outside of that. This emergency that you have quoted over the past 4 months, 5 months, that ends locally the end of December, allows our community to attend and participate in the meeting virtually. To take that link off has silenced our community, and it's a violation.
So when you state that, are you referencing a law or is that an opinion? I mean,
I'm not referencing an opinion. We received an email today which actually referenced the law. I have it here. We received an email, an opportunity to correct it and follow the law, but we've chosen, as many other things, to ignore. It is MCL, Open Meetings Act 267, 15.263. It's a part of the Open Meetings Act. It says a meeting of a public body held electronically must conduct in a manner that permits two-way communication so that the members of the public body can hear and be heard by others of the public, and so the general public participants can hear the members of the body and can be heard by the members of the public body. So we're in violation.
Okay, so our meeting let me back up. When our meetings were remote, we had public participants participating through the Google Meet because YouTube did not allow the two-way communication. However, once we started holding meetings in person, yet it still provides the option of remote. But once we were holding in person, our public right now cannot participate.
You do not get to pick and choose
I am not picking and choosing. I am explaining.
That is the law.
Right. I am explaining. We are not holding a remote meeting. We are holding an in-person meeting, and people have the opportunity to come. When we were remote, that's why the public joined us through Google Meet and not YouTube. Remember? That's so they could hear and be heard, because there was no other option.
So what is the emergency?
Came back in person,
what is the emergency guidelines that you have quoted every meeting? What is that emergency guidelines that allow people to come in here when they want to?
Yes.
and not come when they don't want to, or when they have a situation that they're not allowed to attend. They are not excluded, they're even allowed to vote.
Of course.
We're allowed to vote
Yes.
electronically.
Yes.
So our public has that option, and it is in the law.
The public has to be allowed to participate in the meeting, and we are not banning anyone from participating in the meeting. We are not obligated.
Why is the remote link removed?
Okay, here's the thing, this is something we can rehash, but again, we have legal here if you want to ask legal.
I don't choose, I'm reading it.
Okay, do you want legal to
I do
weigh in on
not,
this?
I do
Okay.
not.
So,
Because
okay.
legal can twist it and turn it, and you've invited legal out, and there's no need for that. It is right here in the law.
And excuse me, and here we are at the last meeting of December, first and only meeting, to where now we want to institute where that our public that are viewing from home cannot participate and send in their public comment. That's where the issue, that's where the issue is at this point, is because all summer, through the beginning of the school year, everybody was able to participate via virtual. If they were virtual, they were able to send in their comments. Mr. Cooper read them, and there was no response anyway, because we don't respond to anyone, but they were able to have their comments read and heard. But now all of a sudden, we're at the last meeting of the year, and they're not allowed to do it. And the question is, why is it now where they can't do it?
Okay.
That's the question, and that's the bigger picture. If we had started off in the very beginning that way, it would have been totally different. But here we are midstream, we're going through that, about to come around the curve, and whoop, you didn't stay in your lane, so now we're cutting that off. That's what it looks like. If we had started in the very beginning that way, when we extended the order to be able to participate virtually or in person, it would have been different. It would have been totally different. But here we are keeping our public and those constituents that can't come out, if they're sick or for whatever reason, they can't have their opinions heard. They cannot have their concerns heard. That's a violation of their right to speak.
It is not a violation, and we cannot state that it is. The law states that we need to allow the public to speak, and we are. And we cannot belabor this. I mean,
And I understand that.
We can't sit here and say it's a violation. It's not a violation.
The major question that I'm saying is the fact that it happened. Now here we are at the last meeting before Christmas, before the holiday, that we do this. You have to look at how things are being done. Like I've said before, it's not what you say, it's the action behind it. We can say all day, a person is not off because it's not personal, but it is personal. These people feel that their rights are being violated because they cannot participate. So yes, it's a violation of them being able to participate. That's what our constituents feel. That's how they feel, that their rights are being violated. They're being denied the opportunity to have their opinions heard.
Okay, so we have public comments that were submitted for the last meeting that we did not get to because we adjourned early. So I will read those. We have Andrea Dixon.
What about the people that are for today? So we're going to read those from...
Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, because they submitted it when the form was up, and we cannot silence those voices.
You cannot silence any voices.
Okay.
Everybody else.
That's ridiculous.
We had this up. No, here's the thing, is what's unfortunate is, yes, people do feel like their rights are violated, and part of that is because board members sit at this table and speak things and say their rights are being violated, and it is untrue. We make sure that
Now
when
you
we
wanna
say there's
shift
a
it on to
violation
us.
of.
It's our
No,
problem.
I'm saying,
That's
make
not
sure.
right
No,
either.
Ms. Terrell, I'm speaking. Make sure that when you state something is a violation of OMA, that it actually is. Because otherwise, we rile people up with false information.
They're
Okay,
riled up
I'm-
anyway
okay, I'm
because
sorry.
you're not
Okay, I am-
conducting
Ms. Terrell,
being
Ms.
fair.
Terrell, I said I'm
You're
going
not
to
being
read,
fair,
I'm reading
Debbie.
the public comments.
You're not being
From
fair.
the last meeting.
And those are Mr. Cooper used to
Okay,
meet.
Andrea Dixon, I understand that you are not required to respond to questions asked during public comment, but I am concerned when it comes to COVID numbers, especially during the holiday season, when many will be traveling, getting together with large groups of people. Can you share the district plan for if and when cases continue to rise? Are there certain metrics in place concerning what determines that in-person learning becomes too dangerous to students and staff? Virtual learning is obviously not ideal for many reasons. However, we need to weigh the pros and cons when it comes to the health and safety of our school community. Next, we have Michael. VP Kennard, you probably done your research and concluded that Piles wanted you out and asked for our support. We gave it to her. She backstabbed you then, and now you align with her. Who looks like the real fool? Believe who people are the first time. Next comment, Karen. No smoking gun, no new findings, no obstruction, and still no Edmondson. Give it a rest, President Piles. Next comment, Jessica Henley. When is an investigation into the actions of the 4 crooked board members going to take place? Something stinks in the district, and their names are Kennard, Piles, Evans, and German. Michael Smith. Okay, that's a repeat comment. And the smoking gun, they got submitted twice. John Smith. This is intimidation. Now we ask for full names so that you can put pressure on us at our jobs. Now you change the policy. Shaking my head. I am not an educator, but have lived with an emotionally impaired child for 2 decades. I know what emotional impairment looks like. Ms. Piles is classic EI and in the helm of our board leadership. We need to provide her accommodations so that we can assist her. For now, I will just be nice to her. However, it is the other 3 in her gang that we should hold accountable. One claims to be a principal of a failing elementary school, the other claims to be a retired secretary, and the other claims to be in finance. Not one of them is held in high regard. These board members are part of the circus that has found its place in Romulus. We will continue to watch with our popcorn. Next, Tasha Williams. I am a proud Romulus resident who is embarrassed by this Board of Education. You are a collective disaster. My focus today is Ms. German in particular, who is ashamed to all of us living here. First, she says she put her kid in a charter school or perhaps Rouge because of football. Okay, I'm going to interrupt and ask legal counsel, since this is all about one particular person and not the board. Do I continue, or does this person, I don't want to silence a voice, but I also want to not. Okay. What about the achievement at the school? Neither of those schools or districts that she mentioned are performing better academically than Romulus. Check that, Ms. German. Second, if it is ya district, as you stated, then why are you here other than to create the chaos you have brought? Go back to your district. Lastly, FOIL, really, resign and work on your own school scores, and darn learn that FOIL is really FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act. Next, we have Jordan Brown. So why do we need 2 superintendents again? Ross Michael. Anyone notice that the bus drivers and custodians are so quiet after weeks of public comment? Who would have the power to take away their voice? Either Mr. McNatt or Ms. Piles or both. Worth a real investigation. Ahmad Atkinson. What has been accomplished, Mrs. Piles, other than your 20 seconds of shame on Channel 4? You really don't have a real clue. I went to work only to have colleagues ask me what was going on in my local district. I didn't know what they meant. So I went on Channel 4's website, OMG. Please make this all end. You were elected by the people to do a job that you are not able to do. Step out of the way and let someone else lead. Thank you for my 10 seconds. Laura Birch. Why don't we examine the amount of speaking time at the board table? No clue Sue, as she was called, no comments. Ms. Kennard, nothing to contribute. Mrs. German has been trash talking our district. Mr. B, Ms. Terrell, and Ms. Ursula are working to get us back on track, but that Piles has the mic all the time, telling folk to shut up, sit down, calling the cops on community members. Get the popo involved. Armed security. Is this the best we could find? And lastly, there is a DKECSKES. Please fix the sound on the sound for YouTube video. Cannot hear any board members speak. So that concludes public comment. Before we go into board member comments, I would like to state that because the public and some board members have agreed that the Attorney General should come in and can also investigate board members, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda if it please the board to add that. Or we can disregard what the community has said that, no, that's fine. There is a motion to amend the agenda. Is there support? If there is no support, we will move on. Seeing no motion, we will go on to board member comments.
Madam President, may I address the board?
Yes.
And ask for something? I thought about doing this earlier, but I'm going to do it now, if I may. I want to share with you, as I've communicated via email with you in the past, this past week, we buried one of our own. So Sharon Nelson was a bus aide, and so I would ask that for a moment of silence in respect to the employee who passed away, please. So, thank you.
Are there any board members who wish to comment?
You know, Madam President, we've been over this for the last several weeks, okay? This, and Jermaine doesn't show up, okay, and she dogged her city. She dogged the city that I've lived in my whole life. I graduated from this high school right here. I had my 3 sons graduate from this. I had my grandchildren come here. And for her to dog this community is ridiculous, and she should resign right now, okay? And what I don't understand with the other 3 is that you don't get it. The whole community's angry at you, and you don't get it. You don't care. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. How you guys can be so cold and not be able to bring somebody back with no excuse. Not one of you have said, why not? Okay? And it's been going on and on and on. This is ridiculous, and you're wasting money like crazy. $150 here, $200 here, $100, $1,000, $10,000 a month there. All of a sudden, 3 months ago, we didn't have enough money for anything. Anyway, I'm just, just very disappointed, and I'm sorry that I came on this board, really, because you know what? It's done nothing but make my life upside down because people like you guys don't care. You could have worked with Dr. Ben on these problems if you cared, but he didn't return my emails. He didn't return my text, so I can't, I don't like that. He disrespected me. Well, you know what? He's here to work for these kids, not for you.
I pretty much have the same sentiment that Mr. Bergeron has. It's disheartening. I've contemplated the current status of our district, and we are in a worse position than we were. We were moving forward. You didn't allow him the opportunity Dr. Edmondson, to address any of the issues that we have had. You've openly said that the investigation is not about Dr. Edmondson, but yet you have failed to state why he is out. We could get past where we are right now. We could begin to rebuild. And sometimes people just don't want to take accountability that we have had staff member after staff member after staff member after staff member to leave the district and cite the reason that they have left is because of how they've been treated, how they have not been, how they aren't appreciated, how they've been harassed, how they've been called out of their name, how people are not allowed to do the work that they've been hired to do. And I just really feel that until and maybe you won't ever say, well, you know what, you're right. But we have constituents, we were voted in, and the community has continued to speak that they want Dr. Edmondson back. Our staff has continued to speak that they want Dr. Edmondson back. I don't know what kind of show this is. We have armed security guards that flick their nose at the community, at board members who carry weapons in the schools when we have these issues where people are being treated wrong. And we have the nerve to hire armed security and use our resources for armed security. And these people are not paying attention to any of the rules. We have low morale, interims in every major department, 4 months of investigation that have come up with no results, a audit that is being pushed back. Now it won't be completed until January. We had Mr. Don Sovey, who was not allowed to renew his contract, and Dr. Edmondson was blamed for that in a previous meeting, where we should actually ask Mr. Sovey who ended his work. We don't want to point fingers at certain individuals. We don't want to respond to certain things. But we need to bring Dr. Edmondson back. We need to bring him back so that he can continue to work, change the dynamic. We're rolling down. The momentum is rolling down. We can change the dynamic so that things are moving in an upward position. I really appreciate that Sean acknowledged the death of a member of our staff, and that Dr. Edmondson and others attended her service. And but I think that we need to move forward with what we can do to actually correct all the wrongs. We can do better. We've eliminated the opportunity for people to participate. You're just stripping away everything that makes things work. Communication. There are things that have taken place that not all of the board members have received communications on, and we find out here at the table. Things are being posted on the website that shouldn't be posted on the website. And then all of that, then we have the comment made that board members need to stop making statements. We bring in people to limit our voices. I've had 3 students to graduate from Romulus Community School, had a granddaughter that went to Romulus Community Schools, and my voice matters. Our community's voice matters. Our teachers' voice matters. Our students matter. They deserve better than what we are delivering. And I speak that we can change this. The hypocrisy only infuriates people. You can't say that you're wanting to do what's best for the district only in your mindset, and then ignore everyone else. And I implore you to consider maybe don't be so allow Dr. Edmondson to come back so that we can get to the business that should be at hand, which is allowing our students to receive the best.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Ms. Westbrook?
My 2 colleagues here have said a lot. It's really just piggybacking off of that. Our students, our teachers, our staff, period, from our custodians all the way, they deserve the right. They deserve their leader back. Yep. The morale is low. It's very low, which affects our children. I, too, have had 4 graduate from here, go on to college. Had 2 grandchildren here in the district. And for those of you who know, I've been doing Romulus Flyers for 22 years. Football and cheerleading, I have touched so many children. Our JV team, people say we have nothing here. Yeah. Our JV football team just won their 9th championship. They were just recognized and given a resolution from City Council. City Council. These are our children, our community, our babies. This whole community is upset. Upset. We as a board, yes, we can do better. We say it's for the kids. This is the opportunity to do that. The staff, the community have come out at every single meeting asking for the leadership back. When is Dr. Edmondson coming back is what we hear every 2 weeks. It's not personal. It's not about him. We need to bring our leader back, which is going to move this district forward. We've lost all of central office just about. Yep. We have consultants in every major position in central office. They're not invested here. Yep. They're not vested here. They're taking money. You say we don't have any money. We won't have any with the prices that we're paying. We won't have anyone. The morale, we're losing support staff to other districts. And to have our own board member recruiting our teachers. Yeah, that's horrible. Recruiting our teachers, yeah. Knowing that we're struggling, you're going to recruit our teachers and take them someplace else. You're not for us. She's not for this district. She's not for our babies. She's not. She needs to resign. She needs to resign. We as board, we're talking about we care about our kids. It's when it's feasible for certain people.
Yeah. It's selective.
It's selective. I'm here every day in the trenches. I work for a school district. Yeah.
I agree.
A lot of our people are there.
We were a destination district at one point.
We need to bring the leadership back to reestablish the foundation and move this district forward. We were doing so much positive work.
We were.
We had the Osbornes here at a meeting stating it was the first time in their business history that a superintendent had went over and met them to see what we could do to work together for the district, for the community as a whole. Last year, they partnered with another business to feed the hungry, our families that needed it at Christmas time. And they told us this year they got even more money. He hit the pavement. People were upset because he wasn't in the office. He was on the streets knocking doors to see what could be done. That's what your superintendent is supposed to do. So we talk about bringing the district back and doing what's needed. You talked about an email that was sent out on September 30th from the Office of Inspector General. Yeah, it came out. He said, "Good morning. I saw the news regarding the investigation of the superintendent and wanted to pass along my contact information. I'm sure that you are facing a lot of challenges at the moment, but wanted to make sure you had a point of contact in case the scope of your current investigation changes. Please let me know if we can be of any assistance that falls within our agency's purview." That was the email we got, saying if we needed them, we can reach out. That was the email we got. But it's been stated that it was something more that was given, that was stated.
Forked tongue.
We have to set personal feelings aside. And Mr. Bergeron said, "You're a perfect, you are a nice lady. I have no problem with you in terms of now with business." And that's, everybody has their own quirks. We can talk and laugh outside as long as it's nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
But business is business.
Agreed.
Our babies, our district is struggling. We are in a worse off position than when Dr. E got here.
Yep. Yep.
We are blowing money, we are throwing money out the window. But it comes down to us when you look at it.
Yep.
People don't go in and look at who voted for it and who didn't. They see the board did this. So we as a board, we need to do the right thing. The right thing. If we're talking about having a special meeting, on that agenda needs to be the action item of bringing our superintendent back.
Yep.
So that we can start off the year with brand new, hitting the ground running, with a person that knows what this district can do and can be.
Leadership.
We need that. Thank you all for coming out, expressing your concern for our kids.
Thank you, guys.
Ms. Evans?
Just in time for her turn to talk, and I'm sure it'll take several minutes.
I have nothing.
Ms. Kennard?
Yeah, she's got a lot to say.
Okay. Regarding safety, Mr. McNatt, could we please get an update to the board? I know that I had inquired as to what Alice training was done and when, and who still remains in this district attended that training.
It wasn't a real training.
And if it involved videos only or anything more of substance. And based on what we were hearing tonight, there are concerns that it indeed may have only been video. So will you please give us an update of when that training took place, what it consisted of, was it video only, and did any additional training happen after those people left that session and trickle-down training in their buildings as Alice is designed to do? And most importantly, can we get something scheduled to make sure that we have our current staff trained? And Alice is just one component of that. The other item that I'm requesting an update on is the buildings that have doors that don't lock or cameras working. How long has that been? And most importantly, when will that be rectified? Regarding security, the board on August 10th, 2020, we had put security out for bid. We'd had 3 years with Teach Out, put it out for bid, and on August 10th, our HR director, then Ms. Bond, brought to the board a recommendation for a security company. At that time, we were a week away from our superintendent starting, so the board decided to table that discussion and decision and allow the new superintendent to lead that. When Dr. Edmondson came in, because we were virtual at that time and not planning on going back, he recommended that we wait, and we have board briefs from him to that effect, and that he was in communication with the police chief regarding an SRO, and when the district needed that, he would reach out and initiate those conversations. That board brief was September 13th. In a September 30th board brief, he let us know that he authorized the high school to contract with EduStaff for security. If the Board of Education, now that we are back in person and the majority of our students are attending in person, it is time, if it please the board, to consider putting security back out for bid and discussing the need of an SRO. That would need to come as an agenda item for a study session first. If there are requests for that, then that would be priority. Prior to tonight, I mean, it's come up, and we realize the need for security and safety. And as I said, if we only get one thing right in this district, then let it be safety, and let it be that all of our students and staff are safe in our buildings. So yes, we can get security. It needs to come through the process and be bid out. And also the need for the SRO. Dr. Edmondson has been giving us updates on that he's been in conversation with the police chief. The other thing is, yes, Ms. Wester, I simply stated that a statement was made that I was not contacted by the U.S. Department of Ed, and that was the initial contact. But since then, Mr. Garrick has reported to us that he has been contacted because of all our stuff going out and details of it. So yes, there have been additional follow-ups from the federal government into our district. But that's neither here nor there. The point is at this point, we are aware of things. Where do we stand on it? And when we're talking about, we all have the same information. I do not understand why board members say they don't. Mr. Garrick passed out packets. Our stuff is posted online. Our information is emailed. And this last resolution that we have tells us that the auditor's having problems with our business practices and financial practices. This is an independent outside auditor. Including that many projects financed by the district's sinking fund appear to have not been bid in accordance with state law and board policy, that the district has been failing increased testing currently being conducted by the district's auditors, indicating that many of the district's business records appear to be inaccurate, and additional problems with the IRS. All board members have this information. So we have to decide, now that we are aware, we are accountable, what are we going to do? Are we going to keep, yes, but how do we fix it?
Bring the people back in.
Okay, how do we fix it if, okay, Mr. Bergeron, I have the floor. Tonight, you've had your time. You've had your time, sir. So we have been torn between contract employees and RCS employees. We had a RCS employee in accounting who resigned. We filled that position with a contract employee who had to leave. So now tonight, we brought before the board the option to post for the accounting position for an RCS employee, and nobody wants that. So it's like we need to go forward, and this district needs to be sustainable beyond any one person or group of people. And at what point are we not going to hold good decisions hostage for throwing temper tantrums? Yes. So
Bring us back our superintendent.
okay, okay, no, right. So the issue is, we have facts, and every board member has been emailed those facts. So like I said, we need to consider having a special meeting. If board members have things they would like placed on that agenda, let me know, but I am respectfully requesting, encouraging, begging board members to read the information that is distributed in board meetings and emailed to all board members so that we are prepared to make good decisions.
We read. I'm going to tell you, I read my information.
Ms. Wester,
Right.
Ms. Stop. This is board member comments, and you've had your time.
Wow. But
Motion to adjourn.
Everybody else off too, right?
So move the motion to adjourn.
Right.
Motion to adjourn. Did you support?
Scary Sue wants to.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Ursula, board member comments, not a dialogue. You know that. You know that. You know that.